Good morning. Good morning to some, good afternoon to others. Aaron, what's good? Wait for the list to populate. I want to open the panel up to everybody to get their reaction to the latest and greatest news. We got a really good card later on today. We'll be catching that. The Golden Boy card. That's a stacked card, like low key. That's a really good card. We're going to have Sinicia Super Bad Estrada fighting for the WBO at light flyweight. We're going to have Sulem Urbina fighting for the WBA at flyweight. Looking forward to that. For those of y'all that don't know, Sulem's fight is going to be on Facebook. So that's the preliminary card, basically. Sulem Urbina's fight with Naoko Fujioka, that's the preliminary card. That's going to be on Facebook. Then the main card, that's the one that's going to have Sinicia Estrada versus Tenkai Tsunami. And I think it's going to be a changing of the guard. I said that in my prediction video in reference to those two fights. I think that's going to be a changing of the guard because both Tenkai and Naoko, they're getting long in the tooth. They're getting older. They've been around a long time, fought a lot of girls. And I like Sulem and Sinicia to take them belts away from them. The Jojo Diaz versus Javier Fortuna fight, I didn't get to do a prediction video about it. I was going to do one. Then all that COVID stuff news broke. But I like Jojo Diaz on points in that fight. And I like Zerto to stop Sullivan Barrera. So those are the predictions I'm going with. Urbina, Estrada, and Diaz on points. And Zerto to stop Sully. Hey, what's goody, Slim? What's goody, Joshua? We just going to let the list populate. Put my little son on the school bus. He got shimmer school, so I'm up early in the morning. My wife stay enrolling my kids and stuff, and then I'll be the one that have to deal with it. All right, what's goody, Cisco? What's goody, Joe Mama? I think Diaz Fortuna. Yeah, Diaz. I mean, you know what the thing is, Joe? With that fight, if it's close enough that they could give it to Jojo, then I think they will. If it's close enough that they could give it to him, I think they will give it to him. It is a Golden Boy Promotions card after all. So I feel like if it's close enough that it's an even fight, they'll go ahead and they'll give it to Jojo. Maybe he is, bro. I mean, I don't know. That I don't have a horse in that race. Don't ask me. Like, I don't have a horse in that race. So whatever happens with that situation, whatever happens with that fight, whether it happens or not, I don't really care. As far as I'm concerned, undisputed at heavyweight is dead. It's not gonna happen. So, and that was my whole interest in that you know, that hopefully, depending on who wins the fight, maybe we get undisputed. But all of that, we see everything that happened. We see everything that's going on. And what does it look like? Does it really look like we're going to get an undisputed champion anytime in the near future? Nah, right? All right, so we might mess around, get another cruiserweight undisputed champion before we get a heavyweight undisputed champion. Because think about how much has already happened. Josh Taylor became undisputed. Clarissa Shields became undisputed at 154 and 160. Jermel Charlo about to fight for it. That's 4. Franchon Cruz and Aline Cedar-Ruz, they're going to end up fighting for it. This is all happening before we get an undisputed champion at heavyweight. So it's like, bro, people only got so much patience at the end of the day. They only got so much patience. It's kind of like, y'all remember the show Lost? That after a while, it just seemed like they were writing the story as it went along, as opposed to it actually having a plot, a beginning, a middle, and an end. It just seemed like it was dragging on and on and on. That's where the heavyweight division is at. That it's like, yo, the whole thing that people wanted to see was consolidation of all the belts, the paying public. That's what I wanted to see. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all wanted to see that too. But that's not what's going on. So it's like, bro, if y'all just going to keep playing these games, then I'm going to just watch the other weights. I'm going to watch cruiserweight. I'm going to watch super middleweight, junior middleweight, 140, junior welterweight, because the glamour weights is the ones that have the most problems. Like 135 has a bunch of problems. The lightweights, that's a glamour weight. That division has a bunch of problems. The welterweight division has a bunch of problems. The middleweight division has a bunch of problems. I appreciate that, JM0. Just showing some love for all the great. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you very much. But it's the glamour weights that have the most issues. If you really looking at it, like in the lightweight division, you have problems getting certain guys to fight each other. In the welterweight division, it's the same thing. In the middleweight division, it's the same thing. And in the heavyweight division, it's the same thing. That happened because the huge writers strike. Oh, that's what it was, WB? That happened because of a huge writer's strike. It killed so many shows, not just Lost. It also birthed reality. Oh my God. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that, but that makes sense because it's like, yo, when the show started, it was actually really intriguing. But as it progressed, it was like, yo, what the hell is all of this about? And what's going on here? Because it just feels like it's going in another direction. I'm starting to think Wilder and Fury camp are just playing with us, and the whole world is no longer falling for it. Anything is possible, bro. At this point, I'm entertaining all scenarios, bro. I didn't even know that, bro. I had no idea. Thanks for that, because that makes sense. That makes sense. That show just took like a turn for the worse after a while, to where it's like, okay, what is this show about anymore? Is it supernatural? Is it alien? Like, what is it? I saw a really good movie yesterday. It's I believe it's on HBO Max. It's either HBO Max or Netflix. It's called The Tomorrow War with Pratt, the dude that was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Watch that movie. That has to be one of the best movies I've seen in a long time, dog. That movie was just dope. Motherfucking what else is going on? Black Widow about to come out today, but I ain't gonna watch it today. I'm watching boxing today. Yo, y'all can hear me? Yeah, man. I've been having technical difficulties with this thing. I think it's the browser. I honestly think it's the browser, but yeah, it's the browser. Like I don't know what's going on with this thing, man. Been having a lot of issues. I don't know, like if it's the laptop, I'm just gonna run around and I'm gonna run out and get a new laptop more than likely because a part of me kind of thinks that it's the laptop too. Because I've had this MacBook for a very long time, and most of the functionality still works, but I'll be noticing little problems like this that it be having, and it's like, why is the sound going in and out? Why is it doing all that extra shit? But real rap, man, it's a lot of different stuff, and I'm like, yo, people like it's sports, bro. And boxing fans don't have to put up like I shouldn't say boxing fans, I should say sports fans. Sports fans don't normally have to put up with so much drama. At some point, you want to tune in to see a sport. And that's kind of what separates boxing from other sports. That you got so many people that they comfortable trying to make it not a sport. They'll just keep saying, "Oh, it's a business." It's like, yo, dog, like, look, man, and that's why it's not at the forefront of the American sporting world anymore. That's why, because cats keep trying to turn it into something that it's not. They trying to turn it into the music industry. They trying to turn it into WWE. They trying to turn it into like novelty acts. It's like, bro, like just let it be what it is, and run things the right way. Make the fights, and people will watch. I mean, I would say so, Luis Puente, because it's very easy for anybody to turn around and say, "Oh, well, they contracted COVID, and that's why they pulling out of a fight." It's very easy for someone to do that. It's a lot easier to say that than to fake an injury because remember, when Fury was supposed to give Vladimir Klitschko the rematch, he said that he broke his ankle or something. He said something happened to his ankle. And a lot of people didn't believe him. Like a lot of people, they did not believe him. They said that all of that stuff on his ankle looked like it was paint. It's easier to say, well, I have COVID symptoms or this and that than, oh, I hurt my ankle. People gonna want to see X-rays if you got an ankle injury. They gonna want to see X-rays. They ain't gonna believe you. It's not just for be to be believing you and all of that. They ain't gonna believe it, especially not coming from him. That dude contradict himself every 10 minutes. To be honest, it's all the competing governing bodies in boxing that pulls it in different. That's a fair point. You have too many people that have different vetted interests in what they want. The sanctioning bodies don't help the situation, but that's the least of the problems because if the fights that you want to see happen actually happen, you really don't worry about all the other stuff if the fights is happening. But because certain stuff is not happening, we end up paying attention to all the different little things like the WBC and all they made up belts and the WBA and how ridiculous like that place is ridiculous, bro. Like them cats is wild over there. I think it's that I have to update my browser. I think that's what it is. Because this been doing this since yesterday. Let me see. I mean, I don't know that they need to merge. I wouldn't go that far. I would not say they need to merge. I think what needs to happen is they need to do their job, and they don't want to do their job. For example, it's been over a year since a mandatory was satisfied for the WBC, right? We all know who the WBC's interim champion is in the heavyweight division. And instead of ordering that fight, like, you know what? You not fighting Tyson Fury, right? Nah, you not, right? July 24th, you not fighting him. Okay, you got to make a fight with Dillian White then. He's out with COVID, bro. We don't know how long he going to be out. We have no reason to do y'all any favors. So if you not fighting Tyson Fury in July, fight Dillian White in August or the beginning of September. We don't care about your pay-per-view situation because it's not our job to care about that. And the problem is you have alphabets that try to act like they promoters. You have executives from networks that try to act like they promoters. That's one of the biggest problems. WBC don't need to care about Wilder and Fury. Y'all job is to move the ranks along, and y'all not doing that. For whatever reason, y'all not doing that. Y'all playing games, and y'all think that people stupid and that they're gonna want to see a fight just because you add a title to it. They not like, I don't care about that fight, bro. You can't make me care about that fight. Now, if you would have told me it's Wilder versus White, all right, I might care about that because I want to see a new fight. I already seen them two dudes fight 2 times. Nah, it wouldn't be for the WBC, Alexis. You're right about that. But honest to God, if you put that fight on, the Brits will show up. I mean, to say that there's no money in that fight or something like that, there's a lot of money in that fight. There's money in Wilder versus White. There really is. But for whatever reason, they don't want to do it. I liked Fa Ajagba for that fight. I'm not impressed. I'm not overly impressed with Frankie Sanchez, Supernatural. I'm not overly impressed with that dude. I caught his last fight and he looked like a regular old 1-2 fighter. He shoot the jab, try to bring over the right hand, shoot the jab, shoot the jab, shoot jab. It's like it was just repeat. His power didn't look all that. He got a little bit of speed and a little bit of athleticism. He got a little bit of that. There's a little bit of sharpness in his movements. But I felt like FA was going to get him. Like FA probably would have knocked him out. Restart this joint. Because White can take a punch. I mean, you know what the thing is? I don't know that Wilder would have knocked him out, right? I don't know that. Maybe Wilder knocks him out. Or maybe he knocks Wilder out. I don't know. The whole point is make the fight so that we could find out, so that we could watch it. And these days, you got a lot of people that they're like, oh, well, he would have knocked. I don't care about that would have shit. I want to see the fight. I don't care about what you think would have happened. You feel me? I just want to see the fight. They should at least let that fight take. I mean, maybe they can move it, you know what I mean? Because you can't hold up. I mean, well, I'm not going to say can't really. They can do whatever they want. But that's a lot of people's careers getting held up over one fight. Why don't they just, you know what I'm saying, have that card as like a heavyweight standalone card without Wilder and Fury on July 24th? The guys already put in the work in the camp, right? They already was gearing up the fight. Just stage the card. I was good, bro. So I'm about to catch that title today. I'm super. Yeah, I'm hyped too, man. I'm hyped too. She's real good people, man. She gonna be a champion. Real good people. One of the nicest fighters I've ever spoken to. One of the nicest and the most down to earth. Exactly, Alexis. I'm trying to get you on here when I get the laptop back up because this joint is bugging out. They need to sell that card. They need to sell that card to sell Wilder versus Fury. I mean, I agree with you, Bruce Leroy, but at this point, it's becoming a wash. You see, this is why there's so many conspiracy theories associated with what's happening, because they see that the fight really didn't have that much of a buzz. Like it really didn't. And if somebody want to say the opposite, they lying to themselves. A lot of people was not psyched for the third fight. Tickets was not moving like that. That's the other thing. The tickets really wasn't even moving like that. So it's like, did they move it so that they could do better business in the fall, but so that they could use the Super Bowl the way they did before, the way they did for the second fight to advertise it? And even if you do all of that, even if you pay for the Super Bowl ads and you pour all that money down the drain, you know that I'm still not going to buy that fight. I'm still not buying that fight. Tenkai is a fun fighter to watch. WMMA. Tenkai is because she's herky jerky. She's real herky jerky. She slip, roll, bob, weave. But I think speed. It's the speed that's gonna get her because Sinisia is real fast. Like she fast that she could put a jab downstairs, get out of there, put a straight shot upstairs, get out of there, and she could just do that all night. So that's how I think that fight is gonna look. That Sinisia is just gonna be too quick for her. Did anyone in this chat really give a credit? I didn't. Honestly, Jesper, I didn't. I honestly was not gonna buy that fight. Like, I'm gonna buy Spence versus Pacquiao. I'm gonna buy that. I hope it has a strong undercard. I really haven't heard anything about what's on the undercard. But Wilder versus Fury 3, nah, I really wasn't gonna buy that shit. I was goody Mark. I'm gonna try to get the laptop back up. I'm experiencing technical difficulties with this old MacBook. I've had this MacBook for years, bro. But I think only recently did it start giving me problems. Like I never really had very many problems with this joint. I don't even know why iTunes is opening up. I didn't ask to open iTunes. I heard something about Bud versus. Oh God, that's a terrible fight. That is such a terrible fight. I do not want to see that fight. I really don't want to see that fight. And that's another thing that people get disenfranchised with the sport when you see stuff like that. That this is the only sport where you gotta hope that the big fight, like it's like you don't have to worry about the Super Bowl happening, and you don't have to worry about the World Series or the playoffs. Like you get all of that with other sports, regardless of whatever. You get all of that. The Stanley Cup and the NHL, you get all of that. You don't have to worry about that. Whereas the big fights and the big events in boxing, you never know if you're gonna get them. You never know. You might not, and that's what separates it from other sports. And low key, that's what drives people away. That you don't know if you're gonna get what what you waiting for. You don't know. I was goody anonymous. I think he lost stock after that Lundy fight because Lundy won that fight in my eyes. They waiting for the results of AJ versus Usyk so they can bandwagon. Yeah, of course, man. That's what it's always been. That's what it's always been. Bud versus Zepeda going down. Our friend told me Top Rank's having second thoughts. I hope it don't go down because that's not a good fight. It's not a good fight. I don't want to see that shit. What's goody, Victor? I mean, I would take David Evanesian, but also it's also like, yo, dog, we've been waiting for Bud to have a big fight for a long time. We know that the circumstances are extenuating, but that does nothing for our level of patience. You see, that I know the situation. I understand the situation, but that doesn't make it entertaining. And that doesn't mean that I'm gonna stick around and keep waiting for something to happen. After a while, I'm just gonna watch something else. If the big fights, or at least the fights that I want to see out of this division, if those fights are not happening because Thurman want to sit out for 2 years and Porter, I don't know what his situation is. I don't know what kind of money he looking for that fight. You know what I mean? It's the only opportunity that he would have to fight for a title in the next two fights, which could soon change, which is likely why nobody wants to fight Crawford. A lot of people not realizing that if Spence beats Manny, right, he'll likely go up to 154. And if he goes up to 154, what happens to the belts? They go vacant. Then guys like Sean, guys like Keith, they're going to still be there to see if they could pick one up. That's what's going to happen. That's what could happen, I should say. I'm not going to even pretend to be a fortune teller. But that's what could happen. So because that's a possibility, you're going to have guys that maybe they're not in a hurry to fight Crawford. Maybe they saying, you know what, I'll take a year off, and when the division kind of clears itself out, then I'll come back. The WBC not going to do nothing, Superfly. They're not going to do nothing. Watch, they're not going to do nothing. They're going to wait the situation out because for whatever reason, instead of doing a job, they want to do favors to this person and that person. They not gonna do nothing. They not gonna order nothing. They not gonna do nothing. What do you think about Benavidez saying he's willing to be a walking corpse? Yeah, I seen that. I actually want to save my thoughts on that for a video. I got a lot of thoughts on that. Um, and we'll see. But I want to save my thoughts on that. I wanna talk about that in a video. Give me a second. They're not just playing for clout post AJ versus Usyk. They put Joshua in a position to have to promote for fear. Yeah, but you know that only goes long. That only goes on shit. Mesro. That only goes long as he wants it to. If he decides, you know what, I don't care about that fight. I don't care who wins that fight. You see what they doing. You see, and I'm washing my hands of the both of them. I don't need to worry about Wilder versus Fury. That only goes on for as long as he wants it to. The moment he feel like telling the both of them, hey, go fuck yourselves. I don't care about your fight. Nobody care about y'all fight. Y'all fake ass soap opera. Nobody care about that shit. That's the one thing I'll say that AJ don't be doing, that he don't talk enough shit. They're like, you don't have to be a shit talker per se. You don't have to be a token shit talker, but you could let motherfuckers know and put people in their place. They're like, yo, dog, look at the shit y'all doing to this division. Look at the shit y'all doing. WBC is weak. They barely ever force. That's true, bro. Since the days of Adonis Stevenson, they've been lackadaisical to order fights. Since the days of Adonis Stevenson. And the other thing is, don't nobody got time for that shit, because at the end of the day, remember, we watch for entertainment purposes. We are not promoters. We are not managers. We not the fighters. All that inside, other side shit, that don't have a lot to do with us. The only reason we're watching is for entertainment purposes. And how many fucking people are entertained with this constant bullshit of Wilder versus Fury? I'm not entertained by that shit. I'm not entertained by the politics that I see in the welterweight division. The only reason we watch is for entertainment purposes. Well, none of that shit is entertaining. Have you noticed the WBC rankings no longer acknowledge the WBA champ? No, I haven't actually. I haven't. I wonder why that is. Somebody gonna have to ask Mauricio about that. Appreciate that, Absosa. Good morning, Jay. This the third fight ain't selling. It's worse than the first fight of which I attended and paid $0 to attend. Both of these fighters are straight. Yo, I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. And I always go back to my original point that the first fight was a draw, right? They scored it a draw. Whether we agree with it or not, they scored it a draw. So that means that the second fight is supposed to be the tiebreaker. Ain't supposed to be 3 and 4 fights after that. That was supposed to be it. And we saw what happened, right? Based on the story, Fury beat his ass. All right, so if Fury beat his ass, why the fuck we got to see a third fight? Come on, B. You know what the shit is, Boxing USA? I don't trust him because he said that shit 2 years ago, believe it or not. He said that same shit 2 years ago, Leo, that, oh, yeah, I want to fight Gary. Man, nobody believe. I know you're not about to fight him next because you just got knocked the fuck out. So I know it ain't going to be next. We'll see how much we'll see if he really mean that shit. Because Gary don't got no stock, man. Gary don't got no stock. And Leo just got knocked. Like, he said he want to fight Oscar Valdez. I'm like, see, this dude is playing, man. Oscar not even at 126. He at 130. You saying you going back down to 126. Oscar's with Top Rank. If you wanted to fight Oscar, the time to fight Oscar would have been when he had the WBO at 126. You didn't even say a peep about that dude the whole time he was there. So that when he go to 130, now you want to start talking? Come on, man. That shit's stupid. I agree, LT. He been WBA featherweight champion for 2 years and ain't even fought that featherweight for 2 years. The dude don't even got a fight date. Peep the shit. Peep the shit. They stripped Manny in less than 2 years of the WBA title. They called him a champion in recess, but they'll let Leo hold his shit at 126, and he ain't even fought there in 2 years. He has not fought at that weight in 2 years, but they'll let him hold that belt. They won't elevate Kansu. They fucked up Warrington versus Zoo. It was supposed to be Warrington versus Zoo as a unification match on the premise that Zoo would get elevated. They don't elevate Zoo. They let Leo keep the belt. It's goofy shit all over. It's goofy shit. Leo set the cruise. He'll take, yeah, exactly. He'll take an easy one, and then we'll see. We'll see, because he had like 2-3 years of nobody gives a fuck fights. He had like 2-3 years of that shit. When the fucking last time, and not that I was excited about the Davis fight, because I wasn't. But before that, when was the last time anybody got out of bed to see Leo? Like, bro, you ain't been entertaining since the Frampton fight. That's the last time you was in a fight that motherfuckers really wanted to watch. All right, I got the laptop back up. Get some panelists on here. I might have to run out. Give me a new MacBook. All right. Y'all can hear me? But yeah, it's a lot of shit that goes on that at the end of the day, you know why it's happening, but ultimately to the consumer, it doesn't matter. The consumer doesn't want to know about all that extra shit. The consumer just wants to see entertaining fights. So when you see an abundance of these issues that constantly go on, yo, all that shit do is drive customers away. The sport is at its best when fights is happening, because that's what the sport is. It's the hurt business. So you got to be in the business of making fights. And it's a lot of cats. They want to make stars and rappers and all this extra shit. Like, nobody care about none of that shit. They just watch because they want to see fights. And if fights ain't happening, what you think gonna happen to business? I'm about to post the link in the joint right now. I don't know what this shit is doing. It was good, Jedi. Was good, Mark. Anonymous. Leo was good. JD. Yeah, man. Like, Leo probably gonna take a rebound fight. He's probably gonna take a rebound fight. And then who knows? Because the other thing about the Gary Russell fight is neither one of those two guys have a buzz. Nobody is buzzing about Gary, and nobody's buzzing about Leo. So it's like you can make the unification match, but it would have took 4 years to make a fight between two of your own boys, two of your own fighters. That's why all that sides of the street shit is not about nothing. That shit is an excuse, because them two dudes was on the same side for years. They didn't fight. Mark, what's good?
Yo, what up, Jay? How you doing, man?
Chilling. Fucking with these technical issues from this old MacBook.
Give me 1 sec. Let me refresh.
I'll dig it. Want to open a discussion up as far as yesterday's events in the heavyweight division. Get people's opinions on what they think is really happening with that shit. Because a lot of people is split. Some people think Fury was irresponsible. Some people think that it's just a ploy to move the fight date because the tickets wasn't selling. Some people think it's Fury trying to get out of the third fight the same way that he got out of the second fight with Vlad. They think he's trying to get out of the third fight with whatchamacallit.
Yeah, remove the other version of me.
All right, but so what do you think about what happened the COVID, October, all of that shit. What you think about that shit?
Hey, yo, man, all I'm saying is every person who's come down with that just so happens to be MTK. Andy Lee, Joey Parker,
Ubali,
Tyson.
Ubali, didn't Ubali come down with it? I know Donaire, they tried to say that he had it, but he did his own. He had he paid
An
for
independent test, yeah, and he tested clear. Ubali got it. Look, all I'm saying is so many people who are getting Rona seem to be MTK.
Hello.
And it seems to be just as they're finding out that they're not getting the traction they want. And to be fair, a fight of this supposed magnitude anyway shouldn't just be pushed out after 8 weeks. Like, they normally give them like 10 to 12 weeks to promote that. They do a big tour. They had one little mini press conference with a dude who was mute, looking autistic with headphones on.
I mean, I think that when it comes to everything from this, because if you look at the raw numbers for the first fight, it looks like they turned over a profit because not that much money went into it. Whereas with the second fight, it's a loss because y'all think that this fight is a lot bigger than what it really is. You guarantee Fury something like 25 to 30, Wilder something like 25 to 30. You got to move a lot of pay-per-views in order to cover those operational costs. And like I always say, it's not from me. It's from the people that orchestrate fights. Bruce Trimple is the one that said that they lost money. I crunched the numbers for that shit a minute ago, and I'm like, yo, they had to have lost money. If these guys really got these kinds of purses for this fucking fight, and this is what it did, then they had to have lost money. They had to.
Jay, the second Bob, like when Bob was doing his interviews, he mentioned in one of his interviews exactly like how many boys like they did on ESPN. I'm like, yo, Bob took a mad hit. They took a huge hit on this. Huge. They didn't go near it.
And that's why I'm like, I don't know what to believe when it comes to these guys, because I could believe that the whole thing is fake. I don't dismiss that. But at the same time, how could constantly losing money on this fucking fight be good for anybody? Because that's what they're doing. They're losing money. You're losing money on these guys.
That press conference wasn't free.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing is free, bro. Nothing is free. And I'm like, yo, you doing all this for this fight. That's the other angle of it. That it's like, you know damn good and well that with the AJ fight, you don't have to worry about paying for shit. You don't have to worry about, like, you don't have that. None of that is your problem. All of that is Eddie's problem. So all you got to do is sit back in your armchair and let him make the fight. You don't got to worry about nothing. But y'all didn't want to do that. Y'all want to fuck that up. So it's like, I don't know what to believe with these dudes.
The only thing I know for a fact is I've got to wait longer to see Effie versus Frank.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in that. The undercard is the only reason I was sold on watching that card. I'm watching it.
Well, the undercard was solid, but not solid enough to get my money, because I thought about it that if I buy this fight, I'm supporting these two guys, and I do not want to support these two guys, bro. Not what they've been doing to the heavyweight division. Nah. We should have been had an undisputed champion. We should have been had one.
But I did want to support the Nordic Nightmare and Adam Kovnatsky against each other in a rematch. I did want to support two prospects in Effie and Sanchez, and I wanted to support Jared and Francis Barthélemy, who I love.
I'm not big on Francis, man. That dude is hard to watch. Like, he's a very good boxer. So it ain't like I'm saying he's a bad boxer. It's that dude is just not entertaining, man, at all. He's just not.
I enjoy watching Francis, man.
Nah, man, I can't watch that fucking dude, man. So what do you think it really is, though? Like, do you think he really got COVID and it's the way that they say it is, or do you think that it's something else going on?
I think there's. I don't know, man. Maybe they're trying to bump up some. They saw a very bad reflection on ticket sales right away. Maybe it's they can tell the projected pay-per-view numbers are going to flop. My personal perspective, everything is possible with these two, especially with Tyson Fury. I mean, it's possible Like the other day, I was mentioning I don't think Wilder wants to fight, and I stand by that. And I think Finkel and all them do. But I think Fury has the propensity to just retire, man. To be
Oh
honest
yeah,
with
I
you.
mean, yeah, yeah. You can't tell with that dude, bro. You can't tell
No.
with that dude. Like for all the conversations that fans have, all you have to do is look at how he moves and see that he don't really care about a lot of shit. Like he don't care about a lot of shit. The way he walked away from the Klitschko fight was already like, wow, bro, you really gonna do that? Wow.
I mean, I think he was on the verge of getting a ban, and that's why he walked away. He says mental health.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe I don't
I
believe.
know. I know why. You know why. Everybody
Yeah,
in the chat knows why. Fury didn't walk away because Fury was depressed. Fury walked away because Fury was about to get hit with a big drug ban.
yeah. Like
We all know that.
I've been settled. I've been settled on that for years. But on the other, the other angle of that conversation is that that dude contradict himself so much. You wonder if he doesn't have like a real for real mental issue because that dude really do. He'll tell one person one thing today, one person another thing tomorrow. It could just be that he's a pathological liar. It could be.
Possibly.
That don't got to be like a clinical diagnosed issue. It could just be that you just a lying motherfucker. But yeah, it's not entertaining. That's what I know. That it's not entertaining. The heavyweight division, for all the talent that's in it, Hergovic can't get a fight with nobody in the top 15. We can't get undisputed. We can't get Wilder versus White. And I don't care about Wilder versus Fury. I don't care about that shit. So it's like, bruh, that's why I watch the cruiserweight division because it ain't no motherfucking peacocks in that division. You just gonna see good fights, which is the whole reason you watching. You not watching to talk about the politics, and you not watching. I'm not. Well, at least I'm not. I'm not watching for none of that extra shit. I'm just watching because I want to see some good fights.
You
The
know,
cruise.
Julius, I seen a fight in the cruiserweight division recently between two relatively unknown prospects,
Mm-hmm,
Gladstone and Apochi. It was on the
mm-hmm,
Morel undercard.
mm-hmm.
And that fight was a better fight to watch than any Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury fight in their entire careers. Like, actually, like, different level. And these were just prospects, relatively unknown. Anyone who hasn't seen it, just give it a watch on YouTube. It's up there. It's worth watching. It's 10 rounds, and these dudes batter each other. It's great.
Navarrete versus Diaz, bro. On ESPN. That was a better fight. Like Navarrete versus Diaz, as far as entertainment value, I was more entertained by that than Spence versus Danny Garcia. Like, that's real shit.
True.
So
True.
it's like when you look at these supposed pay-per-view attractions, it's like, yo, what you really paying for when you order Spence versus Mikey Garcia or Spence versus see, I didn't buy that. I didn't buy them shits. I bought the Porter fight because I knew Porter gonna bring it. If you want my money, it gotta be entertaining. I don't care about what you trying to sell me. You trying to sell me that he's this, that, and the third, and I don't believe you. If you want me to believe you, make the Crawford fight. Then I'll believe you. If it ain't the Crawford fight, when it comes to Manny, well, I'm paying to see Manny, not Errol. Fuck Errol. I don't care about Errol. I'm paying to
At
see
this
Manny.
at this stage, I think with Manny, it's kind of a foregone conclusion. A lot of people will just they want to see Manny, and the other thing is there's that morbid curiosity of father time, and then there's the third part, and it's a sad part, but it could be his last ever fight.
Yeah, because that's what I read 2 days ago that this might be the last fight of his whole career. I honestly feel that he should have used the pandemic as an opportunity to retire. When he saw all that shit fall through, the McGregor fight fell through. Why he decided to walk away from the Mikey Garcia engagement, I don't know. Because that what I read was he was supposed to have a 2-fight deal, a 4-fight deal on the zone, 4-fight actually, and one of the fights was supposed to be Mikey. So I'm like, well, why didn't he just stick with that? I don't
Yeah,
know.
Julius. By the way, I wanted to ask you your thoughts, right? Because I know you said you didn't see it, but I just want your thoughts. AA Boxing Blunt sent this to me, and I had a look, and I went through the WBC's rankings, and they don't have the WBA Super Champion recognized as one of their champions, so they've de-recognized the WBA.
I
They have the
mean,
IBF and WBO, but not
Listen,
the WBA.
I don't know if this is a push to try to normalize Reggie champs. I don't know if that's what it is. If it's a push, maybe this is retaliation for the WBA not recognizing franchise champions. You could slice it and dice it a lot of ways. That it could be retaliation because, well, you don't recognize our franchise champion, and we're equating our franchise title to your WBA super title. They're not identical because, well, WBA super champs, a super champ will have a mandatory, but for a franchise champ, franchise champs have no mandatories.
Super champs don't have mandatories.
They don't. I'm saying before Gennady Golovkin was a super champ and his mandatory was Danny Jacobs. Anthony Joshua is a super champ. His mandatory was Alexander Povetkin. So
technically, Povetkin was his mandatory by way of a proxy because he was meant to be mandatory for Manuel Charr, but because of the drug fiasco, Joshua had to step in because the regular belt wasn't available.
And I get that, but what was the situation with Jacobs and what was the situation with Jacobs and Gennady Golovkin?
Certain amount of fights with the regular title, you need to have a certain amount before you can be eligible to fight for the super.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. He was already super champion before they ordered that fight.
Yeah, I understand that. That's a rarity. That's a rarity.
It doesn't. All I'm saying is it doesn't make sense. And from what I see, even though super champs by definition probably don't have mandatories, we've seen 2 super champs in the last 5 years have to satisfy mandatories. We've seen that. Whereas franchise, it never had a mandatory. It still doesn't. I don't know if this is retaliation. Maybe they're retaliating because the WBA doesn't recognize franchise champions. Either way, you're not going to get me to recognize a secondary titleist. Like, you're not. And really, who's at fault here? It's not me and you. It's not even the sanctioning bodies. It's the managers and the fighters and the promoters. You keep giving those people your money to play with you. You giving them your money so that you could be a Reggie or Intercontinental and all that shit.
So that you can try and hype your fighter in some way to play us. Like it's all nonsense, man.
That's what I'm saying. That like if you want to nip the problem in the bud, then they need to stop paying sanctioning fees and stop letting them alphabets play with your money, because that's what they're doing. Why is Dillian White still paying the WBC? What you paying them for, bro? You know they ain't gonna order that fight. Case in point, this fight fell through. Fury versus Wilder fell through. Wilder don't have COVID, so order the fucking fight between Wilder and him as a final eliminator. Why not?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't actually want that to happen at this stage. Do you know why? Because Wilder's been training on White hasn't.
I guess, but
I'd rather it be on an even playing field. I think that would be something that Wilder would actually do. Though he would take him on, knowing that the dude would like for what? When's the fight meant to take place? 2 weeks.
Put it this way: not for them to save the date, July 24th, but because as a governing body, as an alphabet organization that is intended to give the sport structure and a pecking order, whatever you had going on with Fury don't have nothing to do with our ranks. Now, what we got here is a situation where the ranks are frozen. They're frozen because of y'all two. Well, that's not our fucking problem. You need to fight Dillian White for mandatory status, period. In an ideal world, that's how it goes down. Why? Because whatever you signed with Fury don't have nothing to do with us. That don't have nothing to do with us. Whatever agreement y'all got, that's how the IBF is run. That you can have a 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, 6-way rematch clause. All we know is that when we issue out an order, we expect compliance. And if we don't get it, we'll strip you. Because your shit is not our problem.
Okay. I feel you on that. Yeah, that's a funny comment, man. Mr. T in the chat. He said Sullivan is going to do whatever he thinks will line his pockets. But, bro, don't you know that WBC is a non-profit organization?
Exactly. It's stupid shit. It's like, how you a non-profit organization that you collect sanctioning fees? Then where do the sanctioning fees go, bro?
On the belts, because the belts are artwork, man. That's what he said. The belts are artwork. They cost so much money to make. Hey, yo, man, I could make that stuff. Julius, get some paper. I bet you can get your kids to make one of those belts for us. Paper mache.
That shit ain't even gold on the shit. I used to think that was gold on the shit, and it's not.
No way. That's painted plastic.
Yeah, that shit is not gold.
Just a
I'm like,
metallic paint.
look here, man. It's to me, the shit is depressing. It's depressing the shit because it's like, yo, we really not gonna get undisputed. Like, we're really not gonna get that shit. So as far as all of them conversations, until the next cycle of heavyweights is here and their contender status, we probably don't see an undisputed champion. If we ever see one at all. If we see another one in the heavyweight division.
You know what, man? It just makes me more excited for next weekend. And there's been no promotion for it. But big up to Castano and Charlo. Big up to them, lads.
Yeah.
Big up to them. Real fighters.
That's the shit. Like, what's good, Leo? That's the shit that it's like for all the shit that goes on social media about how the right things aren't promoted. You have an undisputed junior middleweight title fight happening next week, but everybody going to talk about this goofy ass shit. I ain't worried about that shit though, cause I'm gonna watch that fight. I'm gonna stop watching bullshit ass fights, low key. They don't deserve the viewership.
Mm-hmm.
Leo, what's good, man?
Hey, Julius.
How's it going, Leo?
I'm good.
So what at its base, what do you actually believe is at work with Fury and Wilder? Do you believe that it's because of the ticket sales, or do you believe that he's actually sick and they had to, they don't have a choice but to postpone it?
No, that shit is fake.
You think that shit is fake?
Yeah, it's fake. Because if he's everyone else, I will believe it. But Fury, if Fury strikes me like the kind of guy that is in front of the camera and he says, "Oh, this shit is a fucking dozer," and I will smash him, and then after he think about 1 second, says, "Oh, I'm gonna take it easy. I need to consult it with my guys. I wanna." It's like he has sparkles of good judgment.
Yeah.
Everything in between is just fake. It's a showman.
It's gimmicks. It's gimmicks.
Gimmicks.
It's pure gimmicks. It's pure gimmicks. And that's not to say that he's not a good boxer. That's not to say that I wouldn't like to see him fight Anthony Joshua. But it's like, yo, how much fucking longer are we supposed to wait for that shit?
But I mean, it's not on purpose. Floyd Mayweather is the best example. Everything he does, he thinks about it.
Yeah.
He knows how to make himself greater, how generate crowd. But Tyson Fury is just came out of his mouth like he was shitting himself.
I kind of got that energy when there was this was before the arbitrator's ruling, right? He looked like he was in a hotel room in Vegas. He had like a robe on or some shit. And he comes out and he's running through the same how could I put it? The same material. He's talking to Anthony Joshua. Oh, I'm gonna smash you, you bum Dasa, all this extra shit. I'm like, yo, we heard all this shit already. That was the feeling I got there. Like, what you trying to hype yourself up? What are you doing? Because this shit don't feel real. Like the shit you saying don't feel real. And it's because you know that it's tired, bro. Motherfuckers heard that line of motherfuckers heard your material already. We've been hearing it for 2 years. When we gonna get a fight? That's what we want. We want a fight.
Yeah. Julius, can I ask the people in the chat like that are listening a question, right? Because this will let me know a couple of things on what the perception might be on the fight. How many people have you got in here at the moment?
About 204.
So we have over 204 people. All right, I want everybody to let us know, yes or no. Are you willing to part with $80 to watch Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3? 204 of you, yes or no? Are you willing to part with $80 to watch that fight? It's an honest question.
You see the responses off top. Off top.
No, fuck no.
Off top.
Nope.
Look, and
Nah.
this,
Nah.
we have a yes. Big up to you, Dreamland. You're a man on your own, but big up to you.
For real. Like, and it's once again, for me, it's not the price tag, it's the principle. If you told me, for example, that you're gonna have a tournament at 118 pounds, just the girls, right? And it costs about $30 per tournament. You know, like just like the World Boxing Super Series, but essentially you'd have to pay to see it. Yeah, I'd pay because I know the fights is gonna be good. That's the value for money, bro. I want to see good fights. Now we done been here and done this with these two guys already. Why should we have to pay for a third? I didn't want to see that shit. I
don't want to see it either. I seen what I believe is going to happen in the second. This dude's going to get ragdolled.
Don Viciano says yes, but I can only pay $19.99.
But that's not what I asked you.
Yeah.
Because where this fight is really predominantly being sold is in the US. So are you willing to part with $80?
I'm telling you now, if the guys in the UK had to part with 80 pounds, or what is the equivalent of 80 pounds? I don't know. Maybe it's 75 pounds.
I'd say it's about $69.99.
They'd lose their minds, bro. They try to crucify, like they look to crucify. Like
Jay, let's not even go that far. People in the UK went mad when there was a £2 increase on pay-per-view prices.
So imagine how I feel with these guys holding up undisputed for this $80 shit show. It's like, bro, you know damn good and well that neither one of these two guys is that big a draw. That's just the truth. That's just reality, bro. Neither one of them is that big a draw. You're wasting your own time. You're wasting the fans' time trying to force feed us this fucking fight. We don't want to see it.
And as far as people are like, well, this will be one-sided. If you go over to the Wilder fans, right? We all know they watch the Wilder fights on Fire Stick.
And they the main ones, acting like they want to see it when they the main ones that's gonna steal it.
Absolutely.
And I don't buy very much into conspiracy theories. I have my own, but it's just for fun. But the history of this fight, the narrative is so fucking weird. Like when Margarito fight with Miguel Cotto the first time, it was controversy. It was cheating.
Mm-hmm.
What happened next in the face-off with Max Kellerman? He was talking that shit.
Exactly.
He was.
Exactly.
So
bear in mind, Miguel Cotto didn't have concrete proof, but he felt that the dude cheated, and it was enough for him a reclamar, a decirle que mira, ¿qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? What is that? Whereas Wilder, he did the exact opposite. Like you spent all that time saying all that stuff so that when you finally in the room with the dude, you're not going to talk. That shit don't. The only way I could process something like that is that that dude put the fear of God in you or something. Because now you're not going to tell me that shit, bro. You didn't lunge at him. You didn't attack him. You couldn't. If you're not going to talk, okay, don't talk. But if you mad about what happened, you're not acting like it. You acting like a little kid. I don't give a shit if I'm a Chris Camp. Fuck that shit. I'm gonna listen to Adele. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I'm gonna listen to Bruno. Like, who does that shit? Shit is wild out here, B.
Yeah.
I don't have no more thoughts about that shit. I'm like, yo, dog, I'm so done with these fucking guys, man.
You know what, Jay? I'll tell you one thing, though, I am looking forward to. I do hope it happens. This is just from my point of view. It's based off of what's been said in the heavyweight division. Joshua and Usyk at Tottenham Stadium. I'm going to go. I'm going to go to that. That's worth it to me. That's worth me flying to another country to see two dudes who I know who have proven track records they're willing to fight the best fighters in the world. I'm willing to put my money up for that. Travel to another country, pay for hotels, Stay there. Like 2 nights. Like go to that fight. All the cost, higher rate of currency, more expensive for me. I don't care.
It's
That's
worth
worth
it.
it, and that'll be fun. Doesn't matter what I think who's gonna win. It's worth it to actually go and support and see 2 fighters like that.
It's worth it, man. Like it's and it's other fighters I like. It's other fights out there that I want to see. That's why it's not the end of the world that the heavyweight division is kind of fucked right now. It's a little bit fucked because we still got 118, we still got 122, a little bit. Like I still want to see Fulton versus Figueroa. I do want to see that because I want to see Stephen Fulton beat the shit out of him. I don't really like Brandon Figueroa. I just like
I
come
like
on.
Stephen. I like Stephen Fulton though, man. He's a very nice fighter. He's nice, and he's very nice.
We got 130, the showdown with Shakur and Jamel. That's a good little storyline that's playing out down there. It's like it's other
I mean, even tonight, dude. Tonight's card is really, really underrated. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of Barrera versus Zordo when I knew that I could have had Zordo versus Marcus Brown because that was ordered, right? But I'm cool with it. But JoJo versus Fortuna. Sinicia versus Tsunami.
It's a good fight.
Sula Morbina, she's taking on a good opponent too.
Honestly, I think Estrada versus Tsunami might be better. I don't know what we're gonna get with Barrera. That's the shit. If this was the Barrera that fought Ward, or at least the Barrera that fought Joe Smith, then I'd be like, okay. But I don't know what we're gonna get.
I think he's a bit long in the tooth now. But I will say that JoJo Fortuna fight is very interesting.
Yeah.
But the card had me sold when I seen Hector Tanner-Harley taking on Williams at Payday.
Yeah.
I was sold on watching that. That is 2 prospects, 2 very good prospects. One's a great body puncher and aggressive. The other one's an outboxer. I mean, the boxer versus the puncher, ladies and gentlemen. The classic clash right there.
You know what it's looking like? It's looking like where boxing is right now. If you want to see big fight, no, I should say if you want to see entertaining fights or entertaining situations, they cannot involve prima donnas because that's what's fucking everything up. Like the welterweight division is a division full of peacocks, right? The middleweight division is a division full of peacocks, guys that think they too good for every goddamn thing. For whatever reason, Jamal thinks he's too good for Andre. For whatever reason, Spence thinks he's too good for Crawford, right? So fights don't happen. I'm not going to lie and say the Pacquiao fight is not intriguing, but low-key, that's not even the fight that I wanted to see. Like, no, it's not. I wanted to see Crawford and Spence, 2 young unbeaten champions. That's what I wanted to see, not you trying to siphon off fans off the name of Manny Pacquiao, because that's what you're doing. That's going to be your biggest payday because he's a legend and you trying to be that. You not that. If you want to be a legend, fight Crawford. Nah, you don't. All right then, motherfucker. If you beat 42-year-old Manny that hasn't fought in 2 years, am I supposed to think you the shit? Because I won't. You fighting a 42-year-old man that has not fought in 2 years.
Yeah, man, the more I'm thinking about everything that we've been talking about, y'all American fans getting screwed to the wire with pay-per-view prices, man. Like I've known that for a while, but like it's hitting me harder. Because I know that Joshua Usyk will be $24.99 here.
Yep.
About $30. You guys were charged $80 for Tank versus Barrios.
Bruh.
I streamed it.
Yo, low key, if it wasn't for a certain friend that I have in Ireland shooting me the dream stream, I was.
Oh, he's talking about me. I gave him the illegal way to watch the fight.
If it wasn't for him doing that, I was gonna go to sleep after the Lomachenko fight because I saw my boxing. I wanted to see Lomachenko Nakatani. I didn't care about fucking Davis versus off-brand Walmart 140-pound fighter. I ain't care about that shit. Dude ain't fighting nothing but off-brand opponents, and we supposed to sit here and argue about the shit. I'm like, yo, dog, for all the arguments that we're having about this guy, look at what the estimated numbers are. Anything between 90,000 and 210. The dude is not a superstar. Stop arguing with these guys like that because I got
200K ain't even a start. It looked, man. Oh my God.
They gotta put him on pay-per-view. Just the real reason that Davis ended up on pay-per-view. You want to know the real reason? because Matchroom offered him upwards of $8 million, right? So you didn't let him take that money. He said that Al Heyman convinced him not to take the money. Okay, well, if you convince him not to take the money, what do you have for him? And he ends up on pay-per-view with Leo Santa Cruz. That's how that happened. That you fucked him out of some money, and Leonard and them is going to be like, well, okay, what we got for him, though? Because if Eddie Hearn is willing to give this kid $7 or $8 million, you telling him not to go across the street and take it. Okay, so what do we have for him over here? And what do we get? Santa Cruz and Barrios and these basic ass fights, because you don't have it in the budget to give him. All you can do is put him on pay-per-view and hope that we're dumb enough to buy his fight. I'm not.
Mostly y'all ain't.
I'm not, like, bro, 200,000. If you got to put him on pay-per-view just to get him $3 and $4 million, that shows you that he's not a star.
Let's say he did 200K, Julius. How many people live in the United States? What's the population?
About 35 million. About 35,
No.
maybe more.
It's way more than 35, bro. You're in the hundreds.
Yeah, I'm bugging. Yeah. That was the number of
more like 350 million.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about the Showtime subscribers. Showtime. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking about Showtime.
Oh my god, so let's say America has a population of like 360 million. What's 200K as a percentage of that?
Bro, that ain't even 1%.
Nowhere near.
That's
nowhere near.
Like, and that's okay, because boxing is a niche sport. It doesn't have the biggest following in this country right now. That's okay. But you can't even get to 3, bro. You've been on pay-per-view twice. You can't get to 3. You're not a star. Forget about getting a 500,000 or $1 million. It's increasingly difficult to hit numbers like that. But you, the supposed star that's taking the world by storm, you the face of the culture, you the face of 130, 135, 140, you can't even get to 3, bro. That's how much motherfuckers don't give a fuck about you.
Is this true in the chat? The LBC has said Wilder Fury 3 will do 3 million pay-per-view boys and illegal streams. Yo, you don't buy illegal streams. That's why they're illegal.
Wow.
They're free.
Wow, that was wow.
Wow.
You are
I got like 10% dumber off that, bro.
Listen, we gotta stop arguing with these stupid motherfuckers. It's like, bro, who the fuck counts illegal streams towards a pay-per-view? When did that shit become cool? When y'all motherfuckers started getting fire stick?
Let's hit it with the reality. If we're gonna count like illegal streams and stuff like that, yeah. Anthony Joshua, right? When he took on it was Joseph Parker. A lot of the illegal streams announced their numbers. Now, I just want to hit people with this: 100 million in Africa. 100 million in Africa, and he still did 1.5 million pay-per-view boys.
Yeah, it's like I think what we all need to do as content creators, right, is focus on the sport more and focus on the retards and the rejects less. Because I think a lot of time gets spent on that just so that guys like Davis would do 200,000 buys, which is what we know. We know this. They're like, that dude is not a star, bro. I'm not going to sit here and argue with your stupid fucking ass about it. That dude is not a star. Now put him in there with Lopez or Loma or Ramirez or Taylor, and then you cooking with rice. But until that happens, that dude is not a star, bro. And he ain't going to be neither.
Exactly. And I'm sorry. I just want to say this real fast. As long as we've been watching boxing, right? There and thank God bless our following. They know that we know, because we've been seeing it for a long time, exactly what a star looks like, exactly what attrition looks like, right? So then they want to come and and you're absolutely right, Julius, bro. From now on, these guys get nothing but the fucking Blair Witch Project back. Like, they just get the back. Like, we shouldn't even pay attention to these motherfuckers no more, bro.
Like, I'll say that we can address things that are happening in the sport and what we think about them. But as far as addressing a lot of the clown shit, I'm like, yo, what we going to sit here and argue about something that someone said in reference to a Davis, in reference to a Spence, when we know that's not reality? And time again, we see that. The last time they said you did 225, This time they saying you did more than the last time, but this time they saying you did 215. So that mean that the last time you didn't even fucking do 225. In all likelihood, you probably did 160 like Crawford, and they lying about it. And I'm supposed to sit here and have an argument or a debate about this? Nah, I'm not doing that. That's a waste of time, bro. That's
Complete
a waste of time.
Facts.
Say, Leonard LRV say it. I didn't believe it, but he was right. They don't. He say he don't. They don't know who Vargas is. They don't know. I then don't care.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't care because 200,000 guys reflect that they don't care about Vargas.
What they found with Davis, and this is, I wanted to do a video on this, but I'll say it here during the live. See, this is the disconnect. This is the misconception. Did Davis flop? I don't think so. I don't actually think he flopped. Why? Because
Made profit.
the operational costs of a bullshit ass fight like that are really low. It's not like you got Haney in there to where you know Haney gonna want a couple of M's, or you know Teofimo's gonna want a couple of M's, and if you want it on your side of the street, then you're the one that has to put it up. It's not like that.
What was Barrios's
500,000.
Yeah.
When you fighting $500,000 fighters, of course your operational cost is going to be low. So I don't actually think that it flopped. What I think is they found a little lane to keep making a little bit of money, because I do think they're making a little bit of money. I see a profit margin associated with that let's say it did 210. Okay, so you talking about maybe 13 M's. Half of that is going to go to the cable and satellite companies. The rest is going to go to the fighters. The rest is approximately between 5 and 6 M's. Maybe Davis gets 3 or 4 of those M's and the rest go to Barrios and the undercard fighters. So you're not losing money. And that's why they keep doing it, because they're not losing money. But at the same
Marginal
time,
cost and effect. Exactly.
Exactly. Like that. You like the dude is not a star. If you got to put him on pay-per-view just to get him 3 and 4 M's, well, that's because you ain't got it in the budget, not because he's a star. You just ain't got it in the budget. You hoping that we'll pay for that shit, and I'm not.
That's right. That's right.
No,
It's all smoke and mirrors, bro. It's all smoke and mirrors what they're trying to sell us, man. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, everybody, oh, the pay-per-view kings, bro. You guys have no idea what pay-per-view kings look like, bro. Take a look at De La Hoya, Trinidad, Chavez, and the rest of them, and then come back and tell us.
Man, look, I'm gonna be blunt. When they call these fighters stars, like Spence and Wilder and even Fury and Tank, like I'm genuinely insulted because I came through an era where I saw stars. I know what Marquez and Pacquiao were like. I know what Floyd was like. I know what De La Hoya was like and Tito was like. I know what Mike Tyson was like and Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. Don't try and tell me 200K is a star.
Of course,
200K.
Exactly.
Evander Holyfield, if he ever did 200K, he would have literally walked up to the camera, hung his head in shame, and fucking jumped off of a bridge. 200K.
Remember that Manny Pacquiao versus Chris Algieri did something like 300,000 buys, and well over 300,000 buys, I believe it was. And in those days, that wasn't even considered good numbers.
Yep.
And that was not considered like, oh, that wasn't considered good numbers at that time.
Nope.
Bradley, the third Bradley fight, that did way more buys than your average pay-per-view today. And that was not considered good numbers at that time. So when you tell me that this kid's a star because he sold 215,000 pay-per-view buys, get out of here, man.
Let's work it out like this, Julius, right? So this dude's averaging 200K pay-per-view buys, right? Pacquiao did over 20 million pay-per-view buys in his career. That means at the rate Tank is going 200K per fight. He would need to have how many fights, fellas? 100. 100.
Bro.
And you guys remember the pay-per-view standards? Like the lowest back then was like 700,000, right? And then you notice how they lowered the standard now? It was going down slowly. 300,000 was acceptable. Now all of a sudden 200,000 is acceptable. I'm telling you, bro, these guys are not stars, bro.
I'm glad Bruce brought this up. When Triple G was estimated to have done approximately between 97,000 per Rick Glacier to I believe it was 150,000 with David Lemieux. The numbers for the Jacobs fight was also similar. And at that time, these same guys that's hyping up Davis, they were saying that Triple G is not a star because his numbers was that in that same neighborhood. So how the fuck is Davis a star then? It like you got to make it make sense. If Mike Kopinger said that Crawford versus Khan did 200,000 pay-per-view buys, and we all know that Crawford's not a star. I love him. He's one of my favorites, but he ain't a star, right? And if Mike says the dude did 200,000 and then Davis turns around and does 200,000, then how the fuck is Davis a star and Crawford ain't a star?
Well, here's the thing, Julius. You've heard me say that Crawford, as far as pay-per-view goes, he's a complete and utter failure. I've said those words.
Yep.
That's how I look at Tank. When you're meant to be viewed as some type of star, fair play, you can build a bit of a following. 200,000 is a travesty in terms of stardom. Bro, you're nowhere near it. Nello was able to do over 300K with Liam Smith.
That's what I'm saying. 50,000 tickets sold, I believe it was.
50,000 seats, 300K pay-per-view. With Liam Smith, with Beefy?
The fuck I'm saying, dog. They could put this kid in there with an unknown Brit. 50,000 tickets sold, over 300,000 pay-per-views sold. And those ain't even his best numbers. Those are some of his worst numbers.
Yeah, that's why I'm using them. That's his worst. Is better than his best. Tank's best.
But you know, this is the era of false information and fake news. That's what it is. It's the era of false information and fake news. If you want to say, for example, if you came up to me and you said, look, I know that Tank has not fought these people, but I'm still a fan of him because I like watching him fight. I like his aesthetic. I can't argue with that. It's your choice, bro. It's your prerogative. If you rock with him like that, nobody could stop you. But when you accuse us of, oh, we hating, I'm hating because I say 200,000 is not a star. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat the shit for you. No, he's not a star. You can like him, though. You can still like him. You can still watch him. If you buy his fight. He needs you to buy it because I'm not. You know what I mean? A lot of motherfuckers. But it's real shit. Just same shit with Wilder. If you like Wilder that much, right, and you just rock with him for whatever reason you rock with him, because that's none of my business. I don't care why you rock with him. That's cool. Rock with him. But don't accuse me of no shit when I point out the fallacies in the shit. Don't accuse me of no shit. Because it's sports, bro. I don't get paid to talk up none of these guys. I get paid to be a sports fan, basically. To just be a sports fan. Not to be a fan of him or him or him.
Look,
yeah,
man.
but like Canelo, everyone, some people think Canelo is a star because, oh, he has power, he's athletic, he knocks out dude. Canelo, when he fought Shane Mosley, he was barely an adult.
Yep.
Was what, 21, 22 years old, maybe a little less. So every other promoter, every other fighter says, no, I'm not going to fight a future Hall of Fame like Shane Mosley or all of these guys.
I see the connection you're making. You're saying that it's kind of like Joshua and Klitschko. Context is key. Klitschko was old. He was coming off a loss. What makes it a good fight? That we don't know if this kid is ready for this, because that's what made it a good fight. We didn't know, we don't know if Vlad connects and chins this kid. Remember, not that long before that, we saw that Dillian White had caught him with one, and he got frazzled by the shit. So the appeal of the fight wasn't, oh, he's fighting Klitschko so much as we don't know if he's ready for that. He's only about, 16, 17-0? We don't know if he's ready for that fight. Yeah. You can't, at the end of the day, the moral of the story is, much as motherfuckers try, you can't fool people. We're not going to be interested just because you saying it's interesting. Barrios versus Davis could have been a good Showtime fight. Just a regular Showtime fight. You want him to be a pay-per-view star. That's not going to work. Right. It's not working. Something going to have to change. You're going to have to put him in there. You could go as far as putting him in there with Rolly Romero, right? Because they got a fake rivalry. Who cares? Who cares? Rolly ain't nobody. Now,
exactly.
If it's Lopez, all right. and this is another reason why I think Haney's gonna end up re-signing the Matchroom. Haney has opted for free agency as far as networks, right? So that's basically saying that Haney can go to Showtime right now and be like, okay, let's make the Davis fight. You don't have to worry about it ending up on DAZN. It's not a problem. What's the issue then? Showtime has to put up the $3 and $4 million that he been getting over there on DAZN, and they might not want to do that because look at what they got to do with Davis. Davis's guaranteed purse is only $1 million, not 2, not 3, not 4. It's 1. It was 1 point something for the Leo Santa Cruz fight, and it was 1 for the Barrios fight. Whereas Devin Haney be getting 3 or whatever up front. They paid this dude wild money just to fight Linares. So when he goes to Showtime, he's gonna say, okay, well, you know, let's see about making this Davis fight. What you gonna give me up front? You can't talk that one, bro. I got 2 and 3 up front to fight Linares. What you mean 1? That's gonna fuck up a lot of shit.
Hell yeah. And let's not forget fighters building up their mystique in order to grab our attention at the same time to grab our money. Most of these fighters are just like all of a sudden, here's an example. Gervonta Davis has this Mike Tyson-esque mystique about him now. Oh, right. That's exactly what sells the casual fight fan. Now, us hardcores that we know, we're like, are you kidding me? Past 140, if he stays at 140, he fights the guys at 140. I guarantee you, he lose the first match. Put it this way, I think Linares beats the shit out of him. Possibly. Truthfully, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the mystique and all of this stuff. Listen, it was a much better build-up, and you guys need to just do your homework when it comes to building up your fighters like this. And I'm talking to all of these promoters, and I'm ashamed of Bob Arum, man. I'm so ashamed of him, bro. Like he's just sitting back and just letting he's doing the Vince McMahon now, ready to sell to Disney and shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy, bro.
I'll say that this is the sad part about Tank. There's a lot of fights out there that he could win. We always talk about the Tevin Farmer fight. They're like, yo, he could have won that fight, but y'all fucked that paper up for him. $7 million to fight Tevin Farmer, you know damn good and well. That shit ain't even a $7 million fight. It's not. Like, bro, that's not a 7. But they was willing, at that time, they was willing to give you that for one off.
Because the DAZN were trying to break in. They were trying, so they were willing to overpay. And it's in moments like that. Now, I'm not trying to be funny. I like Tevin, because Tevin said he'd go around, and Tevin was like, I'll fight him. He was the only champion calling everybody's name, right?
Yep.
Only one. And I respect that. But man, I'm not gonna play around. That was one of the dumbest decisions on Tank's team's part ever, because he would have went in there and fucked Tevin up. No offense to the lad, he's better than him. Like, I know people will bring up resumes and stuff. Tank does actually have better wins. Tank does hit a lot harder, and Tevin's not got the best of chins.
And now you understand. Now you understand why I have such an issue. It's not all about Loma. Fuck Loma. Forget him. You don't.
Tank can fight, man. That's the problem.
If you didn't want to fight Loma, I say it every live. I could have forgiven that if you would have fought fucking Farmer at least, or Machado, or Corrales, or motherfucking Ito. You didn't fight shit for 3 years, so you could turn around and try to charge me $80 for lukewarm Leo? Suck my dick 80 times, B. I'm not buying that shit.
He said lukewarm Leo. That's a perfect name.
This is a lukewarm fighter, bro. Like
lukewarm Leo set to cruise. Lukewarm Leo set to cruise.
Yeah, niggas got me cleaning my coffee off my fucking face, dog.
It's like, yo, like because it's like they'll talk about Leo like he Barrera or Morales or something. I'm like, yo, who the fuck? Like, huh? You crazy? Like, what are y'all talking about? Miguel Flores.
Bro, when Dillian White did like 450K pay-per-view boys in the UK, people were saying, "Oh, that's a failure because it's not like a mill." Bro, this fool out here doing half that. Oh, so your boys selling out 16,000 out in Atlanta. They have to take him to Atlanta. Dillian's able to do 21,000 seats in the O2 Arena.
That's crazy,
bro. Look,
and he's not done it once or twice. He's done it 5 times.
Nobody talks about how that Jose Ramirez in South California and SoCal
in Fresno. He is doing 18,000 fucking seats every single time. He is Top Rank's biggest ticket seller. He is
That's why I'm like why we keep hearing about how Davis is selling these cheap seats when Jose Ramirez could do
Half
that.
them are comp, by the way.
Bro, you know what these guys
Wolf
are doing?
tickets.
You know what these guys are doing, bro? These guys are emptying out Pepsi bottles, right? And they're filling it up with RC Cola, and then they're trying to sell it back to us, and they're trying to say, yeah, it's Pepsi.
Yo,
Word
we
up.
used to
That's
do
what
that,
they
bro.
doing, man.
We used to do that, though, man. We used to do that when we were kids.
That's real shit. It's like yo, look, if you want him to succeed, right, and he's not a bad fighter, that's the truth. Like you'd be lying to say that Tank
Jay.
has no talent. He has talent, but if you don't groom him right, you're gonna fuck him up.
Jay,
Well said.
like,
Yep. Yes,
Jay,
sir.
would you pick Ryan Garcia over Tank? Because I wouldn't.
Nah, not right now.
I think it's
No,
one sided.
Not right now. Not
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
one-sided. Definitely, it's one-sided, no doubt. But at the same time, I wouldn't count them out because he fought in one opponent. You know what I'm saying? In what was it, Campbell? Right? One
Yeah.
opponent. Right now, if you look at who Tank fought and who Campbell is, you know that's the only chance. But no, I don't see him beating.
Well, the thing for me is,
Let's do the anecdotal shit. If we going by the anecdotal shit, purely anecdotal, because nobody deserves credit until they fight. Tank would have beat Campbell.
Yeah,
he would have beat.
I agree.
He would have knocked him out.
And
He
I think
would've-
so too. I think so too. You know, I think so too.
If the best win on your resume, bear in mind, this kid beats Luke Campbell. He wants to make a fucking movie about it. They're making a movie about the Luke Campbell fight.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Wait. Ryan Garcia is making a movie on it?
They really are making a movie.
Okay.
Dude.
You know what? Then this proves my theory correct, bro. Because I had said he never had no emotion. Well, he did get the press, but it was because of the knockdown. That was the first time he's ever been knocked down. That shit ate his soul. So now he's making a movie. Next comes the book, son. Oh my
Next
goodness.
comes the retirement.
Yep.
That's crazy. So if we're gonna look at those fights anecdotally, there was a time when I kind of felt like, let me give Ryan a look before I write him off, and it wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah.
Let me give him a look before I write him off, because Tank at the same time, you not fighting in the fights that you need to fight, so your growth is gonna be stagnated as a fighter. You keep fighting like Leo. What do you learn fighting Leo Santa Cruz, bro? That he's a little dude, because that dude ain't gonna push you. So like, what's that about? Now, where we are now, it's like, yeah, I would go with Tank if it were next. Not that it's gonna be, but if it was next, all right, now I go Tank to knock out Ryan. Why? You got dropped by fucking Campbell, bro.
Word up, bro. And Leo Santa Cruz looked like Glass Joe, but with fucking with brunette hair and shit, though. He
And
looks
I'll
just
be
like
honest,
him,
man.
though.
Ryan can't box like Barrios can.
No,
He can't box like that.
no.
Yeah, and
He has
other thing,
potential.
Gervonta Davis has power. He has speed, but his level of fitness suspect.
Yeah, he don't have the biggest work rate. The more weight that he puts on, the sooner he'll gas, like at a 140. You in there with Barrios, right? And I don't. It's very difficult with that fight because Barrios, and I said it before the fight, he's not a bad fighter. It's not even a bad fight. The issue with that fight is price gouging. That's the main issue with that fight. Is price gouging.
Right.
As a litmus test for a fighter, like if you told me Jorge Linares versus Mario Barrios at 140 because Jorge want to test the waters, okay, because I seen you get fucked up by Pablo Cano. So I'm like, okay, this is a fight. This is a fight. Tank versus Barrios, okay, that's a fight. It don't make you pound for pound. You're not a real champion. No, you're not. And it shouldn't be $80, but
it is an okay fight.
It's an okay fight. It's not terrible. Now, fighting Barrios is not the same thing as fighting Baranchik. It's not the same thing as fighting Prograde. It's not the same thing as fighting Postol. If you go in there and you do that to Postol, now we cooking with rice. Why?
Yep.
Now we having a conversation. You go in there, you do to Postol what you did to, and you're a 130 pounder. We have to start talking.
That's why, because I saw Josh with Postol. I saw Jose. Some people thought Postol beat Jose.
I thought Postol beat Jose. Mr. Doc and me scored that together. We both had Postol.
So if you go in there and you do better against Postol than say Josh and Jose, I'm all right. Now let's see you fight motherfucking Baranchik. Let's see that shit. Because these is the guys that you got to fight to make a statement at 140. Mario Barrios never made a statement. So even if you go in there and you have a decent fight and you beat him, that don't mean a lot. Like that's you know what that is? That's kind of Dubois versus Joyce to a degree. That it's a great win for Joe. It was a great win for Joe. But what did Dubois do in the heavyweight division? Who did he beat?
Dubois wasn't proven. He wasn't proven. And that was kind of the fight to see if he could be. But it is a good win for Joyce because we saw what Daniel did put up a good account of himself, even though he quit. If you actually rewatch the fight, it was a good fight. It was actually very good, but the lad's eye got smashed in two places.
Hey guys, excuse me. I don't mean to be rude, but this is for a reason. I'm sorry, Mark. You know I don't really do this, man, and I know this is your show ring. But yo, there's a gentleman by the name of Slim Pablo that says breaking news: Tyson Fury announced retirement. Somebody want to check into that if you don't mind?
You lying.
Yeah, I'm dead ass, gentlemen.
Don't tell me it's from the fake Michael Benson account on Twitter.
Let me see.
I hope it's a fake mouth because, bro, if that's the case, man, oh man, this heavyweight division.
I'm looking at the real Michael Benson account right now to see if there's any truth to that.
I just wanted to point that out because that shit was getting at me. I was like, nah. It's
not real. It's not real.
No.
All right. Cool.
Nothing's been announced. None of that's been announced.
All right. Awesome. All right. Just wanted to bring that to the table.
Look. If he retired, right? Let's say he retired, right? He retires. That puts the WBC in a situation.
The same Coppinger. Okay.
Coppinger. Oh shit.
Okay, I'll check.
Coppinger. Let me see.
Oh shit! You know what this does to the WBC, right? They're gonna hand it right to Wilder.
Coppinger hasn't said that. No, it's not on Coppinger's Twitter.
It's not on his Twitter. If Tyson Fury retired, what would happen is they have to order White versus Wilder for the WBC title.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Or they have to elevate Dillian White because he's the champion in the interim. Interim. If the title go vacant, he's the one you got to elevate. Now Wilder coming off an L.
Yeah, that's how it should be. I mean, what I would love to see happen though is they elevate Dillian and he refuses to give Deontay a shot.
Oh, that'd be awesome, bro. Right, stick it right back to him.
That'll be fucking funny. I don't like, that if this is the way that it looks, if we take it at face value, this has to be one of the biggest clusterfucks I ever seen. That all you had to do was fight Dillian, yo. That's all you had to do. You ain't want to fight Dillian. All you had to do was fight Joshua. You ain't want to fight Joshua. You wanted to fight Tyson Fury. That's wild to me, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. And that's funny because when I was the only one to call the knockout on Povetkin, and I was like, yo, Povetkin gonna knock him out, right? And then when he came back, of course, I went the other way with White. So because I knew when White is tight, he sharpens up a bit and shit. The thing is that he got lazy in the first fight. But man, why these guys are scared to death, bro, to fight White, especially Wilder, dog. Like, what's the problem, bro? You ain't never fight a bully in your life, dog. Like, what's going on with you?
I think it's just because he's a matchroom guy. Alzheimer doesn't want to do business with him.
I think it's the style, man. We saw Fury, who has no business fighting as an inside fighter with his dimensions. He has no business. He shouldn't be able to beat you in the pocket because his arms are longer than yours. Exactly. Now put him in there with an inside fighter. Inside fighter.
That's gonna work the
worst thing possible.
That's gonna work the body that has a left hook, bruh. It's like
McRibs is back.
I tend
but here's the thing, Julius. The straight right hand. When you're in the pocket, straight right hands aren't there.
Bruh, stylistically, which is why I want to see that fight. It's like, look, Dillian is not perfect. He does get hit, right? Dillian's not perfect.
He can be knocked out.
He can be knocked out. Wilder, he's not perfect. So it's a good fight of imperfect guys, flawed guys, but it's still a great fight. And we got to move heaven and earth just to get Wilder to have a fight. Like, all right, bro, all
I'm
right.
more interested in that because it's fresh. Like if I
Yeah.
had Wilder versus White, I'd be W versus W. Somebody taking out.
Yeah.
Only one of them has an L in their name.
Mm.
That's Wilder.
Yeah. And the thing about White, he's crazy. He fight like a crazy dude. If you're gonna throw a right hand, you're gonna try to match that right hand with an overhand right, and the guy who hits first goes down. He doesn't care. He doesn't
Right.
care going to the exchange, even if he knows if he's not a counter puncher, even if he knows if he is not the best set of skill, it doesn't matter for him.
Let me
He's
ask you a
about it.
question. Leo, let me ask you a question, right? To the body, the shot that Fury put Wilder down with. Does Dillian White hit harder to the body than
Yes.
that shot
I think,
that
Yes.
Fury
I think
did?
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Julius? Yeah.
Yes.
Because to
Easily.
me, that shot he hit him with, I feel like that's the type of shot that when you're like 14 and your 9-year-old cousins around, you hit them with that little tip when you're wrestling or whatever and knock them over, but you don't actually hit them. You just kind of shove them over. That's what that was like.
Listen,
Dillian
listen.
White's left hook to the body would snap his ribs.
The Derek Chisora that just fought Joseph Parker fight in that same fucking fight that he's gonna rush you, he gonna bull rush you, he gonna burrow in a high guard and get close to you.
I'd
That
pay
Derek-
money.
Yo,
I would pay.
He'll give wild problems with that. That's why I'm like, yo,
Julius, let me tell you this. I've never had to pay $80 for a pay-per-view because I'm over here, right? If they charged me $250 for Chisora versus Wilder, I would pay it. The only reason I would pay it is I'm actually convinced Chisora is the worst possible fighter for that field.
bro, because he don't see that the beauty of Chisora is you're not gonna get a dude that's gonna lay off. The dude is gonna try to win the fight, and that's what you want to see as a customer. It's a fight. You want a dude that's gonna make a fight of it.
You can call Chisora a beautiful mess. You know what I mean?
See that the Chisora that just fought Parker, crowding him, leaning on him, hitting him to the body, moving him around the ring. Bro, that dude to give Wilder problems. I don't have look at the dude who has Wilder fought that was like
I think
that.
he'd knock him out, Julius. I'm not trying to be funny. Wilder wouldn't be able to keep away from that overhand to be on him. Wilder's right hand won't land on that field that much because his head movement is mental.
I'm not
You
going
need to be able to box.
I'm not going to say he's a hold on. I'm not going to say he's a modern day Frazier, Antonio. I'm going to say he's a modern day Burt Cooper. He's a good journeyman that you get your money's worth when he fight. He's a good Burt Cooper, Ray Mercer kind of. I ain't even going to say Ray because I think Ray's a cut above a lot of people. But he's that kind of cat that he ain't perfect, but you going to get your money's worth the night of the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beautiful mess, bro. Like he's one of those guys that it's an ugly car on the outside, but the engine is, it runs perfectly. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great analogy.
That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
Like he's literally that 1997 Ford Focus that you drag race with because you've souped it up on the inside.
He's a fucking Buick. He's a fucking Buick, is what he is.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like I would give him like half of the status of Ronnie Lyle as a great competitor. You know what I mean? And just the problem here is these guys are supposed to be fighting guys like Dillian White, and they're just trying to, you know what I'm saying, not even use them as stepping stones, bro. We all know, everybody on this panel, everybody here, if we were fighters, we would be fighting correctly, bro. We would be taking the levels, bro, because if styles make fights, you gotta learn, you gotta fight against other styles in order to add it onto your pedigree.
I gotta be honest. I wouldn't be making the right steps. I'd be making the right financial steps. I'd be snaking. I would be two-facing. I'd be going around the back calling people this, making them get angry, fighting some bum, getting fans hostile. I'd be doing all the wrong things.
I'll give you a perspective on Derek Chisora, right? Here's a perspective, right? Derek would beat Adam Kopnowski. He would beat him based on what I saw. Because Adam's whole shit was volume and fighting in the pocket and throwing a lot. Okay, I've seen that you don't hit harder than Derek and you don't take as good a punch as a Derek. So that's where Derek is. That if you got an O and you don't got a lot of experience, this dude will fuck around and beat you, all right?
It's a donut. You're going to take the donut.
Real shit.
Hey.
This dude will fuck around and beat you. So if he fighting, and I see that, okay, well he would, let's make a fight between between Derek and Wilder. Yo,
Yeah.
I'm not counting Derek out. You wilding. Wilder ain't that good, bro.
Let me ask you a question here, Julius, right? And it's gonna be a very rough question, okay? If Wilder doesn't allegedly strangle that prostitute, does he ever become a world champion?
No.
For people who don't know what I'm alluding
he
to,
wouldn't-
that's
he
why
wouldn't-
he pulled out of the
he
fight with
wouldn't-
Derek
he wouldn't have
Chisora.
won
He
that-
was meant to fight Chisora.
He wouldn't
yeah.
have won that fight. He wouldn't have won that fight.
He was meant to fight Chisora after all, Lee Harris. They had the press conference set up, and he pulled out due to strenuous circumstances at the time.
Yeah, but Mark, I don't think Wilder is calling those shots. I see what you mean, but I don't think Wilder is scared. I think
At that time, he wasn't with PBC. He wasn't with PBC at that time. Man. That fight was signed and everything. He had to pull out because of a court case.
Yeah, but you know who was still in the picture at that time? Shelly Finkel. Shelly Finkel was, and Shelly Finkel. I've always held him responsible for how things worked out. That if his development was stifled, that has more to do with Finkel than Heyman. It's Finkel that stifled his development. Because remember, he was a Golden Boy Promotions fighter at a time. A lot of them bullshit ass fights that he had. I think his resume looked like Munguia resume. His resume looked like Munguia resume. Like, yo, who the fuck you fighting, bro? You got 30-something fights. Who the fuck? Who you for? Patrick Alati. Who the fuck?
Hey, hold on, though. Hold on. Imy's resume better than Wilder's after 30 fights. Way better.
Agreed.
Bro, I think
He beat Montiel, who went the distance for Charlo in 2 rounds.
Agreed. You got to give him that. And he beat the shit out of Saddam Ali better than Wilder beat Stavern. Stavern won 12. Saddam Ali, he was getting ragdolled by fucking Munguia.
Where was Wilder's Spike O'Sullivan?
Real shit. I think that
for
was
real.
Duapa. Johan Duapa is his Spike O'Sullivan.
Duapa, that's a word.
Nah, because Duapa just comes in with a guard and walks forward. That dude got knocked out in bowling shoes years ago.
You know what? Joe Mama makes a valid point that Munguia only 24 with that resume. Wilder was like already in his 30s and shit. That's true. That's actually true. That's true.
No doubt. But it's not really disrespect because we're really just comparing on how the fuck old Wilder is compared to Munguia and how it took him that long to have such a amateur, such a young resume. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no comparison. Look, this is what I hate. Oh, Wilder's a better fighter than Joshua. Really? Who got 3 belts? Who fought the top 10s? Look and compare, gentlemen. Like, it just gets me fucking nauseous, bro.
America is desperate to have a pony in the show. That's all that shit is. That come from that come from an inferiority complex that it's like, damn, we ain't got nobody else, so we gotta go all in. And I'm like, nah, bruh. I'm not like that. I give the flowers. Give the flowers to who deserve the flowers.
What happened with your heavyweights?
They started playing different sports.
Okay,
that's what happened. You make a lot more money in the NFL than getting punched in the face.
Or in the NBA, bro. So, bro, I'm not like America's boxers. I'm telling you right now, playing on the Pelicans, playing for the Lakers, LeBron, Zion Williams. That's America's heavyweights. Those fools.
It's ridiculous, bro. They'll get more money playing fucking Olympic knock hockey, bro. Like, really. Like,
could you imagine 270-pound Zion Williamson if he was trained to box from an early age? He's 6'7". He's got a mad wingspan. He'd be knocking people hell out.
The other thing is generational. Boxing is a poor man's sport, right? Boxing is a poor man's sport. If you look at poor countries, they produce not necessarily countries that are rough, right? America, and I'm not trying to be Joe Button, but it's like, yo, we in a generation where guys run around taking selfies and all of that. Like,
America used to be America used to have a very rough in the 30s, 40s, 50s.
No, but it's for real though. Like I'm not trying to knock the whole I am, but I mean it's just being honest that like, yo, these guys,
I feel you.
It's different. Like the softest motherfucker from the 90s is harder than the hardest motherfucker now. That's real shit.
Yo, it's ridiculous because bro, the tightest jeans we wore was straight legs, dog. You feel what I'm saying? And them shits were from like the ankle to you know what I mean? These niggas wearing gentry jeans out this bitch. And I'm like, yo, what's going on, son? And you're right, bro. Niggas from the 90s right now are like hitting bags again, getting ready for these young niggas. Because these niggas out here, bro, they think that, just talking is
Yeah, but
actually
y'all were a
knocking
bit more
somebody
good
out.
though, because y'all were bootlegs.
Like, look,
It's all good,
69,
though.
69, whatever, Takuma, Takashi, whatever his name is, 69. Bro, that dude, imagine a dude like that walking on 7th or 8th,
Man, oh
8th
my
Ave
goodness,
or
bro.
7th Ave or Lennox, bro. Like,
Herb, all day Herb, son.
yeah, like it's certain shit that goes on now. Certain shit that goes on now that you know good and well in the 90s or the late, especially not the late 80s, but the 90s, especially when motherfuckers was losing their mind. And it was all it's not because you remember 1996 in
Oh,
New York.
hell yeah,
It was
bro.
retarded in New York. Like it was like the Wild Wild West.
730, bro. Niggas getting jigged up. The fucking Chinese delivery man getting murdered just for $5, dog. Like, come on, son.
It was mad freak shit because all them LA gangs, for those that was not there, all those LA gangs, they ended up going to New York for whatever reason. There was already a couple of gangs in New York at the time. The Latin Kings, the Mietas, Dominicans Don't Play. Some out of the clear blue sky, you start seeing a lot of Bloods, you start seeing a lot of Crips, and they got all their different sets, motherfucking what was it? Non-trade gangsters, Sky High Paru, Treetop Paru, Money Making Green. It was mad shit happening at that time. A guy like Takashi, imagine him walking on Lennox, bro. You were like, bro, like it just would not be allowed. Like, nah.
Crazy, bro, crazy.
Takashi is a straight clown.
Bro,
he looks like a clown. He talks like a clown. He's a clown.
He's a pedo. No, but it's more than that. He's a known CI. Like he's not like if I say, motherfuckers these days, they'll call anybody a snitch. And it's like, look, man, you just talking, bro. You don't sell nothing, you don't move nothing, you don't do nothing. Right. You just talking. Right. Now, what we know about Takashi is you are for real in real life CI. Motherfuckers will get rid of you in a minute, bro. Like that's not cap, bro. Like it wasn't allowed. Whereas now, motherfuckers know he is CI and still rock with him. They know he is like they like, bro. This dude got off. How you think he got off? How you think he got off?
Crazy.
It's wild. Let me shoot Chris Matthias a link. Like it's wild shit that's allowed now. And once again, that's just progression. That's just progression. That's just how shit is. They're like, you can't compare the psychology of a teenager here today to the psychology of a teenager in the 90s, especially not in the poor neighborhoods. It was completely different. Now you got Leo.
I look guys like, I don't know, the guys in the 20s, the 13s, Ray Robinson, all these guys, they look old, 20 years old, and they look old. They have it rough.
Yeah,
they have it really rough. And all these guys, like they have, I don't know.
What's good, Julie? How are you?
28 years old.
Chris?
What's up, Chris?
And they look young. They look fresh. It's a different era.
And in no way am I glorifying Alpo or any of the rest of the known CIs out there and stuff. I'm just saying that me and Julius just talk about the environment. You know what I mean? The real people that were out there, you know what I'm saying? The soldiers and shit, if that, that's what y'all call them today. You know what I mean? We're talking about the people that just used to hold up for fucking 40 ounces in blunts in the corner of fucking stores and shit, or parks and shit. And you know what I'm saying? Niggas was breakdancing and graffiti, and then they moved on to the 90s where niggas was just still styling, but with big ass Cuban links. You know what I mean? Just chilling and just smacking the shit out of niggas. But I don't condone any of that.
It's not condoning it. It's not condoning, and it's more along the lines of that's just the natural. There was a meme that I saw posted, right? And it said that hard times breed hard people. Hard people bring about good times, and good times breed weak people. And it just goes on like that, like in a cycle. In a cycle. So where we at right now, right? And it's not a bad thing.
What y'all talking is just real life shit.
Yeah, like it's not a bad thing. Like if you go to Harlem right now, right? Harlem is gentrified right now. Brooklyn low key is gentrified too. If you go to Brooklyn, like it wasn't like that in the 90s or even in the 2000s. It wasn't like in the early 2000s. Nah, it ain't look like that. All them clean streets and trees and shit. 7-Elevens. They got a 7-Eleven in Washington Heights. I'm like, the fuck? The fuck?
Word,
That shit wasn't like that before.
Nope, that shit would have got robbed as soon as the grand opening hit.
Real shit, like that's and that's not cap. It's just it was a different time. So when we think about boxing as a sport, to the point that we're alluding to, boxing as a sport is a poor man's sport, and these is not poor times for a youth. Feel me? Like before, you had a lot of kids that they just fighting because that's what the fuck they do. Now, what the kids do is they take pictures of themselves. They can't smoke weed without telling somebody. Shit, when we used to go smoke, we ain't tell nobody because we ain't gonna want to get in trouble. In your time, weed is legalized, so that's a headache that we had that you don't have. That you can walk around smoking now because it's legal. When we was young, it wasn't even legal.
Man, we had to worry about going through the system, getting caught for half a blunt, bro. You know what I'm saying? Central booking.
Yo, that's what I'm talking about. They're like, yo, it was bad to where if the Jake is walking down Broadway or walking down 8th Ave and he see a roach by your foot, you going to the bookings for the weekend, bro. Over a roach.
Yep. That's how bad it was, kid. And God forbid they caught you with a nickel bag. You had to go to the fucking court like every 3 months for that shit.
God forbid they find you with an empty baggie because then they're gonna hit you with intent to sell.
Yeah.
Or they might fuck you over and throw the empty baggie, but throw the empty baggie by your foot. They done that. I've seen that shit a million times. Throw the empty baggie by the motherfucker foot and try to make it look like he was doing something so they could have something to knock him for. That was regular shit. Whereas now it is a lot better. It is better for the kids now, and that's not wrong. But if we wonder where boxing went as a sport for the Americans, well, America did get a little bit softer. It did. It's not like that no more. Now it's other parts like motherfucking Gary, Indiana, always gonna be a fucked up ass place, bro. Read about Gary, Indiana, and Detroit. Detroit is always gonna be Detroit. Like Detroit, like don't Philly also. Philly is Philly, but other parts.
Chicago was gonna be Chicago too.
Real shit.
Oh yeah, and all those mass shootings you see. Go ahead, Chris.
Like you were saying about the 90s, I'm from New York, so and I grew up in Long Island. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm coddled, so I know that. But I do have family in Brooklyn. But I can't just say 90s was all niggas was doing thorough shit. You gotta remember Desiree Perez, she was a CI, like Alpo, a whole snitch. And
no. We already addressed that though. We already addressed that. That's why we're saying we don't condone those types because we had those types as well. The only thing is that they have power. That's why motherfuckers couldn't do nothing because as soon as they found out they was going to out you and the police weren't going to care about that. But I understand what you're saying. Go ahead, Chris.
That is a fact. That is a fact because I do remember early 2000s was nothing to play with. My mom even to this day said, "Yo, if you're in Brooklyn, keep your heads, get your head on the swivel, and your eyes and your ears open."
I'm sorry. Keep going.
Yo, that's but fucking but low key, and that's what a blood because he supposed to be. Even though we all like we know that he not, but he supposed to be blood, and that's what a blood look like in 2021. It's like a video game character or some shit.
It is. It's sad. It's really sad.
Create a character in Saints Row, son.
It was like before you had people like I was neutral. I was always neutral. I wasn't in nothing. All right, not Latin King, not DDP, not Mieta, not MS-13, not Blood, not Crip. I was just selling whatever I was doing, whatever, right? But in that era,
Julius, if I ever see you with a fucking Latin King fucking headband on, I swear to God, I'm making that my Abby.
No real shit, but they was like the Latin Kings. Like I remember when I was young, man. The Latin Kings, it depended on where you were and all of this shit. But like
exactly,
them in the Bloods, they will go at it. And them Latin Kings, they'll show up deep, man. 50 deep with bats, yaks,
bro. I'll bring you back to a little more danger times, bro. The Decepticons. Remember when they was going around schools and cutting niggas' faces because of the North Face jackets, dog. You know what I'm saying? That was deep.
I remember when motherfuckers was getting popped over first down jackets. Y'all remember first down, the yellow coat?
Yeah, the pigeon downs.
the
This is pigeons.
the motherfucking parasucos with the stripe down the side. Motherfuckers was
Yep.
getting knocked for those.
And the 8 balls too. They was getting knocked for the 8 balls and the pellies.
It was a completely different time to what we see today. So when you think about those times, and once again, that's not nostalgia per se. We just trying to encapsulate what happened
just telling the truth.
America. Yeah, what happened to American boxing, right?
Guys, this is the state of boxing in the United States of America. The two biggest draws in boxing in the United States today are Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Two wealthy kids that try boxing to, I don't know, find some meaning in his life. That is the state of boxing in the United States.
I don't really knock Logan and Jake. You know why? They're rich kids doing what rich kids do. That's like, fuck them. I'm not worried about them. But as far as on the ground with the common man or whatever, the common man is a little bit more well off in this generation because they have more options. They have more options than the previous generation had. That's not a bad thing, though, because we want things to get better. As a society, we do want things to get better. We bragging
and that's
about
why boxing is bad, though.
Ours is not overall. It's still good fucking fighters out there, man. It's good fighters.
But you have to understand.
Go ahead.
You have to understand that, You have to understand this, Julie. Now that we have all these options, no one's going to get behind a pay-per-view store when they can stream it for free. Let's keep it a buck. The only reason why a lot of people went platinum back in the day, a lot of people, got high pay-per-view sales and people watch their shit on terrestrial TV because that's the only thing to do. Let's keep it a buck. If the technology we had now was interspersed throughout time, no one would be going platinum like that. A lot of people wouldn't be on pay-per-view like that, and it's not fair. And another thing is, let's keep it a buck. Americans don't really like the hardworking, I do it the right way type of guy. That guy doesn't sell because we like dysfunction. Let's keep it a buck. Like when we see Mike Tyson's one of my favorite fighters of all time. But we see raw, sheer dysfunction in a common man. But we can gravitate to him because we see a lot of us in him. And that's not fair. Like, for example, if we look at Evander Holyfield comes from the hood too. Evander Holyfield probably comes from a worse predicament than Mike Tyson. He does it the right way. He's quiet. He's so-called vanilla, right? But he gets the job done, and he's a lot more successful than Mike Tyson overall career-wise, right? Look at another person who does it the right way, Lennox Lewis. We still hate this dude for doing his job. We don't like people who simply do their job. It's just corny.
I must say, I agree with you to a degree, right? Because I know what you're saying, that America tends to gravitate towards dysfunction because as a society, Americans are dysfunctional. Like, if you really think about American history, what's more dysfunctional than that shit? It's mad dysfunctional. Nothing. So we gravitate towards dysfunction. However, I will say, you spot on about Mike, because people like how volatile and unstable he is. It's entertaining, right? It's just that on the other end of that, George Foreman made more of a splash as a happy, fat old man than he did as a monster. As a monster, they ain't love him the way they loved him when he came back and he was a preacher and he cracking jokes. It's novelty. Like, Americans want to be fooled, essentially. But as far as boxing, because that's what this is all about, boxing is a poor man's sport. And these kids out here, they don't live, it's not the same. Like, they spend their whole time lying about how much money they got. You feel me? That it's not the same. If it's a poor man's sport, then it's going to be comprised of poor people. Whereas today's poor people, they ain't even all that poor. You got Uber and Instacart and all these different job options. Like, it's not the same, bro. Weed is legal in your time. You do a weekend in the bookings in the 90s for a little bit of weed, for a roach. It's
they can throw a gram of coke on you and say that was yours. They set you up. Real shit. Like, plenty of time they did that shit in New York.
Oh,
Bro,
God,
and you know what's funny? You know what's funny, bro? I'm about to make the most common sense ever, bro. Back then, we had more of a right. Our generation had more of a right to scream racism, and we didn't. Put that shit together.
Nah, I ain't
Yeah.
gonna say I ain't. You know why I don't agree with that? Look, I don't agree with that because if it wasn't for people screaming what they were screaming before, we wouldn't be here now. Shit is better now. It's
I'm
not
talking about
perfect.
no. I'm talking about the '80s though. I'm not talking about because remember the '90s. That's when Giuliani came and shit was. But I'm talking about the '80s, man, where cops were really racist. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
no, I
Yusuf
agree.
Hawkins, bro.
No,
Yusuf
I agree.
Hawkins, 89.
Motherfucking Abner Louima, plunger up the
yo,
butt.
man,
Amadou Diallo in the Bronx.
Ah,
41 shots.
41 shots. Bro,
Yup, that was crazy.
it was wild. But what I'm gonna say is that today is a little better, even though it's not perfect. And I don't want
Yeah,
nobody taking that shit out of context. Like, nah, it's still other shit that needs to get fixed. But it is better now than it was then. Because you talking about a dude, 41 shots, bullet holes in his
Damn.
feet, bro. Like,
damn.
what the fuck did you think he was gonna get up after he fell? That you shot him? It was wild, bro. It was
Yeah, that was lead showers, bro. That was crazy, man. I remember, man. And then one with the plunge up the ass. That was even more sick.
bro, they was wild, like they was wilding back then. And if it wasn't for the things that people did right back then, things wouldn't have got better. They got a little better. I'm not saying they're perfect, so don't misunderstand me. There's still more work to do, but they are a little better now than they was then. Cause they was wilding. They'll throw an empty nickel bag at your foot and you down for the weekend. Or
Down
for
for the count.
empty nickel bag. You
Yup.
got a better chance of beating a case like that now than you did before. Before it just is what it is, bro.
Yeah,
It
it was sick. It was
they're gonna
sick.
hit you, they'll hit you with possession over a little bud they know you're gonna smoke. Now it's legal. You could fucking go ahead, get high. Go ahead, smoke your weed.
Shit. You probably catch the same DT in the fucking dispensary these days as you picking up. You know what I'm
Bruh,
saying?
at the end of the day, the ones that stand to benefit the most off of weed being legalized is the same people that was building prisons to house motherfuckers for weed. You can't make it up. Like you can't make it up. Like your dog. So all these guys spent all this time in jail because of some bud, all this paperwork, all this taxpayer money, all this bullshit over some bud, so that 10, 20 years later, y'all can make it legal. You can't make it up, bro. So that y'all can make money off it at that.
It's crazy, bro. Yup. Take another sip for life, bro, because we need
Real
that
shit,
shit
like
desperately.
these times is different, and the way that translates into the world of boxing is that, look, it's not a knock on this generation. It's not trying to be fucked up or be the Joe Button of the shit. It's just that, yeah, these are softer times than then, bro. This is nothing. The shit that they going through, I ain't going through nothing compared to shit before. Nothing, man. Like, it ain't nowhere near the same. And the further back you go, the worse it was. The 80s ain't worse than the 70s was. The 70s ain't worse than the 60s. Nah, think about it. It wasn't worse than the 60s, bro. It wasn't worse than the 50s. It wasn't worse than the 40s. The conditions were worse the further back you go.
Exactly.
So naturally, progression states that this generation, yeah, they're gonna be a little bit softer than the generation before them, and that generation is a little softer than the generation before them. Everything is like that. That's what happened to American boxing.
Um, when I did this point was talking about the heavyweight division.
Mm-hmm.
The welterweight, they are the other division than the American boxing scene is doing well. But if there's someone to blame, I guess, for all of this, for me, it's PBC. I'm Floyd Mayweather.
I disagree. I disagree with well, let's put it this way. I agree PBC because they actually have a stable of fighters, right? So it affects what happens in a division. But as far as Floyd, the reason that I always kind of is because you don't have to be like Floyd. Like you don't have to do that. You trying to be somebody else and it ain't gonna work, and it hasn't worked yet. After Floyd retired, who's Floyd after that? Not Canelo. Canelo not Floyd. Canelo is Canelo. Canelo is Canelo. He not Floyd. He Canelo. All you cats trying to be Floyd. Broner, motherfucking Thurman. Thurman used to have all this shit to say about Floyd. Why? So you can start moving like him, being selective like him. When you retire, for all the shit that he said about Floyd 2014, 2015, your career ain't shit compared to his. It ain't shit.
Jay,
Ju-
do you
just
want a good laugh? Do you guys want a good laugh?
Good.
Benson put up a tweet, right? The tweet: Mayweather's promotion CEO Leonard Ellerby on Gervonta Davis. Tank loves the UK fans. He always tells me, "L, can you imagine me fighting at Wembley? I'd sell that bitch out."
Man, come on.
Yeah.
Man. You know what they trying to do? You know what they trying to do, Mark? They trying to now they want to ignore the crop of American fighters in the lightweight and super lightweight division to fight domestic level Brits. That's probably what the plan is. To fight, they want to go back to fighting Liam Walsh's and shit. That's what they want to do.
I'll tell you this, bro. I'm sure there's a lot of UK people watching in the chat, right? They'll tell you straight up, I ain't going to no fucking Tank fight in the UK. Get the fuck out.
They want to make Davis versus Tennyson, bro. Or Davis versus O'Carroll.
Bro, the only thing where they could actually do sales in the UK would be fighting Taylor in Scotland.
That's it. That's it.
They could do good seats there, but maybe he drags Josh Warrington up to 135 pounds and fights him at Elland Road or some shit.
Bro, if he could make 130, if Tank can make 130,
I said 135.
Bro.
I bypassed 130.
Bro, they ain't good. Josh too little to try to move up to 130. Like he don't hit hard he don't hit hard where he at. He gonna go to 135 for Tank? Nah, man.
They talk about Wembley Arena, obviously. They can't be talking about no Wembley Stadium. Sell that bitch out, bro.
That's crazy, bro.
It's getting fucking. It's. Do you realize how fucking stupid that shit sound? Like, what y'all look like talking about Wembley, bro? Like,
I want y'all to realize this.
Cowpatch
George Groves 2 was huge, right? It was fucking huge in the UK. It didn't sell Wembley out. They had to close off segments. It did 80K. If you get floor seating and do the entire arena, Wembley can push 100K. You ain't selling that bitch out. Yeah. You ain't selling it out unless you're Joshua versus like Fury. You ain't selling that bitch out.
Bro, Tank would have to fight Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua at the same time at Wembley to sell it out. He would have to fight them both at the same time. That's the only way. Because it's like, bro, why you acting? You know what the funny? Why you acting like people fuck with you like that? You 200,000 in your own country, not their country, your country. 200.
You can only do 200K in your own country, and you think you can sell 100,000 seats in a different country? Get out!
It's like, what the fuck is like 14,000 or 16,000 cheap seats in Georgia, right? 200,000 in a country this size. That's all you could do. 200,000. Now you think you could go to Wembley, bro? Fuck it, do it. Go to Wembley.
I would love. That's nearly as ridiculous as when Tundi Ajoy said Anthony Yarde versus Kovalev would sell out the Emirates Stadium, which is 65,000. Like,
that's
the thing about Floyd, for me, as a boxer, I have nothing but respect for him. But as a manager, you could say as a manager,
bro,
it's like Floyd is like, I'm gonna tell you whatever I want, and you're gonna believe it because I'm Floyd Mayweather. I am rich. I am successful.
Yeah.
When Gervonta Davis' career really started, when Floyd praising him as the future of boxing, when Errol Spence career started, when Floyd Mayweather said that, he got me well and inspiring is very good. Now the people start talking about Errol Spence. For me, if you track all the source of the issue, is Floyd. Yes. Giving clout of all these fighters, they are not proving himself.
I mean, Floyd. You know why? Because Floyd has the how do you say? He has the way of of getting over on the system. You know, he knows how to do it now. So now, if you notice, you know, that thing that he always used to say, which applies to most of these fighters now, which is, you know, what is that? Less work and more reward or something like that. You know, less risk, more reward. Well, you know, that's his whole thing. So this is exactly what they're doing with Tank. I mean, bro, it's in our faces. It's in our damn faces, bro. You got Bell Pepper Nose Ellaby just coming out, just saying, yo, check this out. He's not gonna fight anybody at 140. He's not. They're telling us, look, you either gonna watch him or you're not. It's gross, bro.
Nah, but you know what the beauty of this shit is that for no matter what's being said, right? No matter what's being said, the numbers are what the numbers are. Leonard could get up there and say whatever the fuck he wants. Your fighter only sold 200 at best, and I don't even like. Once again, the number I was told is not 200,000. I'm just letting y'all know that. Motherfucker told me, credible motherfucker, 170. That's the real number, and I believe that.
With the number I got, Julius, was 166,722 exact.
Well, that's it. That's in the neighborhood. That's in the neighborhood.
So I think your 170K might be bang on, bro.
So if we look at the shit, we getting too hung up on what's being said and not looking at the reality that for everything that's being said, it don't matter. You still not selling. You still not a star. No matter how much smoke screens, no matter how much smoke and mirrors, you really not a star, bro. And you not gonna be until you start fighting in the fights that motherfuckers want to see. Motherfuckers don't want to see no Barrios fight. Nah, they want to see Lopez. They want to see Haney. And until it's about that, you're not never gonna be shit. Like, look, we already know this kid is not gonna be a 5-division champion. Forget it. You trying to convince people he a 3-division champion with Reggie belts. Could you imagine him at motherfucking welterweight and super welterweight? He get killed, bro. He get killed. You fought an absolute nobody at 140, and you think you had the moon and the stars off of that. That's because that's how much a star you ain't.
Yeah, it's like Teofimo Lopez fought Lomachenko. Ryan Garcia is just a kid. He fights Campbell. Gervonta Davis spends like 4 years of his career fighting non-proof guys, overweight guys.
Yep.
Come on,
like in order the formula didn't change. Floyd had to fight Oscar, the crossover. Manny had to fight Oscar, the crossover. Everybody had that crossover fight with like a legendary fighter. Now Gervonta Davis, he don't have the luxury of an Asian champion at his weights. He don't have that luxury. So you're gonna have to really fight somebody.
You do. Yeah, you do.
Who?
Broner, 140.
Come on, man. Come on. Ain't nobody, man. Fuck out of here, man. We done seen.
You know they're going to do that though. That's why he went up to 140. They're going to do Broner versus Tank for the WBA regular. Watch.
Bro, Broner is a train wreck, bro. Every other day he talking about how he gonna kill us. Every other day though, like I don't think the man is gonna fight. Remember what he said? He won 10 million or no fight. He get the
and then he fought for 400K. What's your point?
Was it 400,000 really?
I don't know. I'm just making that up. But he fought for a low amount of money. It was probably they'll say 2 million. I don't really divide by 5. If they say 1, I give them 200. If they say 10, I give them 2 mil.
Like no matter what's the point that I'm making is no matter what's being said by Leonard, however annoying it is not having a tangible effect in real life. In real life, at best, you sold 200,000. At best, that means you're not a star. So I don't even need to focus on you. We need to focus on other areas of the sport where the fights are happening. That's it.
Julie, did you listen to Beach's video? Beach said he probably only sold 90,000, according to Oscar De La Hoya. So if that's a star, I don't know what is.
I mean, I did a video on that shit on what was it? Yesterday, I think it was. And it's like, yo, I don't know why everybody acts like Oscar be lying. He wasn't lying about Leo. That shit turned out to be true. He wasn't lying about the offer that they made to Jermel. Jermel ended up confirming that shit. They're like, yeah, they did. Well, he said I wouldn't have turned that shit down. What could he have been talking about? Feel me? So it's like, yo, I don't know why everybody act like Oscar's lying. If he say that somebody told him 90, I could believe that because that's not a big fight. Why would it do 200?
I don't see why Oscar. It's quite obvious Ryan's going to cash out early in his career because he's already said he wants to retire by 26.
Yep.
I don't see the point in Oscar trying to undersell what could be Ryan's cash out fight. I just don't see it.
And it's not like he be shitting on Tank. Every other thing, aside from those pay-per-view buys,
He bigs him up.
every other thing he says about Tank is positive. That he's a monster, that he's fighting good, he's looking good. He thinks the fight with Ryan, he don't have no reason to lie on that kid. If anything, he keeping it a bean when he say that he don't think that the fight is ready yet. He's being honest, like, nah, it ain't. If all you did was 200,000 buys off your own name, then the fight's not ready yet. It's not as big as y'all want it to be. And y'all know y'all ain't about to make that next, so get the fuck out of here. Ryan Garcia
and Floyd's doing the same thing. We're saying, yeah, we ain't fighting anybody outside of our own label yet.
It's not
Julius,
for nothing.
also,
Go ahead.
To cut you off, you gotta understand this. Barrios, him being a no-name may not necessarily translate into this. He's not a bad fighter. And the unofficial scorecards had Barrios up. So if you're struggling with a no-name, let alone you fight Josh Taylor, you're getting your head taken off.
Yeah, but
they know that. Like you were saying, if they can go to fight Liam Walsh in England, how come they can't fight Josh Taylor?
I mean, look. I can
answer that.
I try not to spend time on them fights that we know not going to happen because I feel like we spent too much time on that shit. Like, that's like breaking down a fight when you know that it ain't going to get made. Why do it? Josh Taylor versus Davis is not a reality. Feel me? That's not going to happen.
I'm actually gonna hit like a real reality check, like for a lot of people, right? And this is being dead honest. You're managing Tank Davis. I'm gonna ask you this question, Chris. Right? You're managing Tank Davis. What is the benefit of Tank Davis fighting Josh Taylor?
You are the undisputed 140 pound
No.
champion.
He ain't gonna be the undisputed champion. He's gonna lose that fight. He can't win. He can't beat Josh.
He can't win that.
He can't win that fight. That's way too far. He ain't skilled enough. He ain't fast enough. He's too small.
At the end of the day, we have to see the fight happen. If Tank hits Josh and Josh gets wobbly leg, who knows? I don't think Tank is going to hurt Josh because we've seen Josh get hit by Regis Prograis, Ivan Baranchik, and go nowhere. But hey,
Jose Ramirez.
But at the end of the day, this is why fighting is fighting. But for the most part, what you said, I will answer it like this. You have a chance to fight for the undisputed championship. And if you win, you'll do something that your boss has never done. Floyd Mayweather Jr., for how great he is, never consolidated one whole weight class. He's been consensus number one in every weight class he's been in, but he's never, ever had the undisputed championship to say, irrespective of what you think about me, I was undisputed champ in this. Even Zab Judah was undisputed champ. The last undisputed champ at 147. But I'm telling you this. So I can understand that. I don't think he beats Josh Taylor. But like at the end of the day, if you want to build up a profile, you fight the fights that will give you a profile.
And look, none of us thought like, and this is why I agree with Chris in the sense that you got to make the fight because how many people thought Beck the Bully was going to go in there and ragdoll Gabe Rosado? You just must have had to have been some psychic motherfucker if you went with Gabe to win. Because that was the last thing I thought. And he knocked that motherfucker out.
I was very worried about that fight. And I said it on numerous channels. I was very worried about that fight.
Yeah, he gave him a Craftmatic. My man was asleep.
Put that motherfucker out. I'm like, yo, that's why you got to make the fight because you never know until you know. But the way that y'all moving him, we can see that you don't, at minimum, you don't believe in him. If you felt that he could do to Josh what he did to Barrios or what he did to Santa Cruz, you would make the fight because you benefit more beating Josh and making history and making a profile in two different transatlantically. In the UK, in the US, if you fight Josh, but y'all don't believe he'll win that fight. That's why y'all moving him like that. That's why y'all going to wrap him in.
Train hard 365 days a year. He doesn't.
He don't. And we know that because we see what he look like between fights. He get fat. So it's like, why ask why? We know what it is. We ain't got to pretend it's some shit that it ain't. It's that, yo, they don't believe in you like that, bro. All that shit they saying, it ain't about nothing. They don't believe in you, bro. They wouldn't let you across the street for $7 million for Tevin Farmer. So they're gonna let you fight Josh? No. He could have fought. He could hold on. He could have fought Alberto Machado, and based on how things worked out, he would have beat Alberto Machado. He would have knocked him out if he would have fought him. But they didn't want to let you do it. So Cancio ends up knocking his ass out twice. That could have been Tank.
Then Cancio lost to Alvarado, and then Alvarado he lost to Gutierrez. Like, that's just a mess.
It's a mess. But these is all of those fights are fights that are winnable fights or could have been winnable fights for Davis, and he would have had a lot more respect from the people that he wants to buy his fights. He would have had a lot more respect. You never know. You play this right, maybe you could get Tank to 350,000 and 400,000 pay-per-view sold if you do this right. But if you think you're gonna beat us over the head, bonk us over the head with these soft facts, like, nah, you bugging. Go ahead with that shit. I'm not buying that shit.
I think not every boxing is the same. I think there are guys that they are very talented, they are very skilled, they are built to fight, and they do it because they enjoy it because they are good. They are other fighters that are fighting because the glory, because they want to be great, and they are other fighters that they are fighting because they don't have any other choice to pay the rent, to make money. And people like to assume that every fighter, every world champion is there trying to be great. It's not necessarily true. And I think managers knows that.
Yeah.
And see fighters that maybe are 1 or 2 losses away from retirement. For me, Gervonta Davis is a very talented guy. There's 1 or 2 losses of not boxing anymore, or not boxing in the highest level.
Also, how many blue chip prospects? They don't have a lot of blue chip prospects at the TMT. That's the other thing. That if Tank loses, who do you have to replace him with? Rolly Romero? Who? Badu Jack's about 40. He about to be 40 out here, going to the cruiserweight division. So if something happens to this kid who really is your top seller, what comes after that? Nothing. You ain't got nothing. So you got to be protective. Like Top Rank got fighters to go around, man. They got plenty of fighters to go around. You know what I mean? It wasn't all on Lomachenko. Why? They had Lopez. And if something happened to Lopez, that's all right. We got Shakur. And it's going to keep going because they not putting it all on one guy.
Yeah. Do you think Eddie Hearn is worried about Joshua retirement after his next loss?
I don't think so because he's got a lot of other guys coming through in different parts of the world. Like if after Keyshawn Davis does what he does in the Olympics, right? He already has a relationship with Matchroom. He's already fought on 2 Matchroom cards. So if things don't go to plan with Josh, you have other fighters that you could still build up. And I'm not going to say they as good at it at Matchroom as they are at Top Rank. Top Rank has that shit down to a science. That, hey, we was on the Lomachenko train, now we on the Lopez train, and if shit with Lopez don't work out, we got Shakur, and we got a couple of other kids. They just signed a couple of other kids. So it's like...
I am talking about Eddie Hearn is not worried about Joshua losing all his drive to trying to box again. I don't think so. If Joshua loses again, maybe with, I don't know, maybe with White, maybe with one of these upper covers, it's like, okay, you're going to the gym, you rebuild, and you're gonna be better. I think Eddie Hearn knows it.
And he has, it's not just that, he has the relationship with Canelo. That's the other thing. It's like, yo, everybody else has options. When we look at the TMT, not to be confused with the PBC, right? Because the TMT is one promotional outfit in and of itself. All they really have to sell is Tank. They don't got another kid like that. They like, who's the other kid that's supposed to take up the reins? Because Tank is not a child. Tank is 26 going on 27. He's approaching 30. You 3-4 years away from 30. After whatever happens with him, whatever happens, who comes after that to pick up the reins?
Yeah.
Hey, what's good, Kong? What's good, Spade?
Hey, Hey, what's up, Julie? What's up, everybody in the panel?
What's going on, man? What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, God bless, fellas.
Just quickly, I wanted y'all to address something that on the topic. Tank is on video, on multiple videos, doing the whole Tevin Farmer scenario, saying that he didn't even see the offer from Eddie Hearn. Like he said on one video, well, it couldn't have been that good if they didn't show it to me. And I was just like, what? They didn't even show you the offer. They didn't even educate you as to what you could earn. So what kind of people are managing Tank where they're not even showing this guy what he could be earning? That's just my comment, man. Peace.
I got you. To respond to that, ignorance is bliss. If they don't show you the offer, you don't get to raise a stink about it, and your people don't get to raise a stink about it. That's what that is. That if Eddie Hearn or somebody wants to offer you, say, 8 million or 10 million to fight on their side of the street, they don't want you to know about it, because if you know about it, you might want that money, and then they got to deal with it. You got to resolve it. They're like, yo, if you're not gonna let me go to Matchroom for $10 million, what $10 million fight do you have for me then? Because you got to make it make sense. I could go over there, get that 10, beat him, and come back. You don't want to let me do that. Okay, so what do you have for me? Instead of letting the fighters see those offers, they don't. Like, nah, don't even let him know about that. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Because then he gonna want 10 from us. If we don't let him go get 10 from them, he's gonna want us to give him 10. So instead of that, forget it. Forget it. We're not gonna show it to him. And it's not just Gervonta Davis. The same thing happened with Luis Ortiz. The same thing. If you read the comments from Luis Ortiz's trainer when they offered him the Joshua fight, he's saying that, yo, these cats fucked up the fight, not us. We would have took the fight. The management and the promoter fucked up the fight, not us.
Julius, to add on to your your soliloquy, right? What I'm about to say, let me put a disclaimer. I don't want to sound like I'm downplaying the fighters. I'm making them sound dumb, right? But this is what I got to say. I feel as though a lot of these fighters aren't educated in the contract and legalese business, and Al Heyman is. So if they feel comfortable with going to Al Heyman to handle the business, and Al Heyman is basically doing things that benefit him and his ties to networks. And to add on to that, I think that's why Danny Jacobs left.
Yeah, because Danny not dumb, and you can see that.
Exactly. Because I don't think a lot of these guys, not to play them, not to make them sound dumb, they're not too business savvy. They hide behind being business savvy, but they're not. So they're leaving it in the hands of someone who is. And Danny, I feel like he's seen the bullshit from jump, and that's why he jumped ship.
Remember, right before Danny jumped ship, right before that, they had Peter Quillen vacate the WBO title so that he could fight Danny for the Reggie belt. We know what happened. Danny beat him in a round. Then he gets that Golovkin fight. He got the Golovkin fight, and it's like he realized, like, yo, it's more money for me doing other shit than sticking around here. If I stick around here, they ain't got nothing for me over here. Remember how long ago this is. Jamal wasn't a middleweight yet. The middleweight division was not dominated by PBC fighters. Danny made a move to where he ended up making a lot of fucking money off of making that move, because off of making that move, going with Matchroom, he ended up getting the Canelo fight.
That's true. And another thing, right? Just being, logical. You can't tell me that a fighter knows that they offer him a certain amount of money, guaranteed, and he turns it down, right? Not the fighter. Somebody above him turns it down, not the fighter. I don't see Luis Ortiz, especially being in a situation that he was, turning down $7 million from fighting Anthony Joshua. I don't see that, right? It does make sense, and it does make sense that someone else turned it down, and that's why his manager was mad.
Yeah, like it was. I remember I did a video about the shit that basically the story was, if you listen to Hearn's side of things and you listen to the trainer's side of things, not to be confused with the manager or the promoter, but the trainer, he said, like, yo, me and Ortiz would have took that fight for that money. We'd have took that fight. They fucked it up. They was hardballing. They wanted more money. That tell me all I need to know. That, like, yo, when they be sending offers to some of these guys, they don't even be telling them about it, because they scared that they're gonna want the offer. Like, yo, $7 million for a one-off? Hell yeah, I'll take it. That's what they afraid of. So to keep them on their side of things, they keep them in the dark. Like, nah, we ain't even gonna tell him that they offered you that shit. We ain't even gonna tell him because then he gonna want the money and he gonna want to go over there. We don't want him to go over there. Our network affiliate needs him to stay over here. So that's why we be saying the shit that we be saying. Like, look, Jermall Charlo fuck around, knockout Andre. I don't know. They gotta fight. But if Jermall Charlo don't take them offers that was made to him, it's because he don't want to know. What he said, I don't make fights. I don't fucking make. Then what kind of promoter are you if you don't make fights?
But a lot of these guys say they don't make fights, but then yet call themselves their own boss. Like, which one is it?
Because it can't be both. Either you a real for real promoter that make fights and make decisions, or you not. And we see he said that shit on camera. Yo, I don't make fights. I don't pick and choose. I fight who they put in front of me. Who is they? Your bosses.
He also said on camera that he's his own boss. He got his own promotion. He also said that. But like the fighters that strike me as business savvy, Mikey Garcia, Danny Jacobs, Canelo Alvarez, like a lot of these guys, like they don't really brag about their business. You just see it get done.
Bruh, Dillian White, Derek Chisora, Mikey Garcia, Danny Jacobs. It's guys that you can see that they have a say-so in whatever they be doing. Don't matter how big or how small it is, whatever they be doing, they the ones that's making them decisions. Those decisions is not being made for them, and they not going out there like cannon fodder. A lot of these guys, really on the PBC side of things, they're comfortable with the decisions being made for them. And that's obvious because they're turning down career high purses for what are good fights to stay on a network and fight no names. You cannot convince me that fighting Montiel is better than fighting Andre. No, it's not.
But Julius, I'm gonna use a proverb that you use when you say a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I think what it is that a lot of these fighters, they make good money fighting pedestrian level competition.
That's true
too. They're not gonna risk going to take big money and then possibly losing.
That's true too. That's a very good. That's what's going on with Davis. To me, that like I think they're actually turning over a profit, a very small profit, a marginal one, with his pay-per-views because his fights don't cost that much to make. What you gonna guarantee him? $1 million? And what you guarantee his opponent? 500,000? That ain't a big fight. Now, if it's a Haney, well, you gotta give Haney at least 3 M's to show up because that's what he be getting. He get that for Linares. Feel me?
Gotcha.
It's wild out here, man. But yo, look, it's been a pleasure. I gotta take a nap.
I Ring. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good one.